And stand by for the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. Forbidden History Live coming up next. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is ever to be construed as hate, medical, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on therealpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week on YouTube.com, on NinjaCat111, and Forbidden History Live. What they didn't want you to know, that we tell right here. Stand by for the broadcast. Time to call your friends. And hello, Ninja. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Emerging Sea Broadcast System, the Forbidden History series, Forbidden History Live. With your host, Dezert-Owl. And happy Sunday to you out there, ladies and gentlemen, around the world. I want to welcome you to Forbidden History Live. You know why we're here, don't you? Well, of course you do, because here is where we bring you the most important information on the face of the entire earth, or under the earth. Here is where we bring you the very best in radio broadcast listening while we reveal the greater secrets and the deeper mysteries of life. Yet the one question that will always remain will be this: can you handle the truth as it will be presented here this afternoon, this evening, tomorrow morning, in the future, wherever you are around the world? Stand by for the broadcast. It is Forbidden History Live with your host, Dezert-Owl. And today we're going to be doing a special presentation. First, we'll be in the dictionary of all scriptures and myths and define the word heart. And then part two, a special from the lost books of the Bible and the forgotten books of Eden, the section that begins with the death of Adam and then the fall, how the watchers fell, the children, not some invisible creatures with wings on their back, but the seed of light, the children that the sky gods that fell from their high estate in wisdom into psychopathic behaviors. That's the legacy that we have here on planet Earth. How did that happen, ladies and gentlemen? Nobody gets the story right. Nobody. I've never heard anybody tell the story right, but we will tell it right here. Okay, so glad you tuned in and telling your friends. And hi to Christina, Ninja, Yochelleg, our Yogeneer, and anybody else out there tuned in. Okay, we having technical difficulties for Yochelleg today. She can't come on, and she's got the internet down, and the phones are down. So for some reason, so we'll hopefully get her back tomorrow. And in the meantime, we're going to make lemonade out of lemons. Okay, and it's sweet. You know, the lemons are a little sour. It makes you perk her up, and you really don't want to bite into one. But then when you get those, you get a little bit of water and a little bit of sweetness going on, you can actually have lemonade. It's sweet knowing the truth, ladies and gentlemen, and it is. There is good news on planet Earth. The good news is this is not your home. It's I know it's for anybody that's in the Matrix. That sounds a little odd and a little strange. They actually think they're going on, forever somehow, going to their job and having weekends off. But there will be an end. There is an end to all of this, and so the idea is to get it all figured out now, and to get with the program, or should I say the deprogram, because the deprogram is the reverse image of what the program is all about. They're over there 100, and I'm 180 degrees in the other direction, all alone over here, but not alone anymore. Not alone. There's Lynn. Lynn's is our regular backup Yogeneer, and Owlette, and just also doing a great job, and also going through her own life struggle, as we all are. And everybody, I figure if somebody isn't suffering today, then they're at a real disadvantage, because then they're never going to have that stimulant that they need for the better, the better way, the truth, the knowledge. Why are we suffering? Why do people suffer in the world? Why is there so much chaos? Why so much war and hatred and dissimulation and variance and dog eat dog? We could just go on burning people. I can't get over why people would want to be Catholics today. Okay, what part of burning like 5 million people at the stake over the last 2,000 years don't people get? Oh, they were just having a bad day, or a few renegades had to get rid of them. They burn more women. Okay, they burn more women than they burn men. I think they burn like twice as many women. Because women somehow have another unique psyche of their own, a sense, you might say, intuition that allows them to know that there's something wrong with the beast system. The beast is a beast. Once a beast, always a beast. Like some people, they just say, "Oh, it's not a bad beast. It's it's my beast." Okay, so I don't talk about my beast, or I like my beast. I want my beast. He's okay. He's a little crazy at times. I know that, but it's mine. Okay, don't mess with my beast. All right. So, and so people actually love the beast. They'll die to protect the beast, and they'll persecute you for perhaps going against the grain of all those, like Yeshua said to Paul when he was going to Damascus, and nobody, the translations is never right about that either. None of the translations are right. But what he really said was, it must be really hard for you, Paul, to be kicking against those sticker bushes, right? That's really what it said. But it says, kicking against the pricks, and it's, how come you can't put it in modern English? We're speaking modern English, so we might as well get it there. And but the stick, so that you get the picture clearly. Stick, how come you're kicking your feet against sticker bushes? Boy, I wouldn't want to do that. Although I feel like I have done it a bit in my life, and because we learn from the hard lessons and mistakes that we make, and it's one of the best teachers, of course. If you didn't make a mistake, then maybe you hadn't learned many lessons, or you were very well endowed, one or the other. And But people who have everything going for them, the fine job, the nice cars and house, and no problems, well, they're not stimulated. They're not going to be going anywhere. They're at the end, or just like I had the thoughts over the last 24 hours. I was watching a video, and then you see the man and woman, the couple holding hands together, the married couple, and to realize that, like, okay, isn't there something wrong with this picture? They're just going on to their old age, and then they go to the grave. Isn't it like, I thought maybe it was the man's job to go out, not just to get the bacon, but to go out and get the truth at the same time, right? I mean, you love somebody, but then you're not gonna go ahead and figure out what life is all about and give them the truth. And instead, no, we're going to our golden years, and then after that, we push up daisies. That's all. No, you don't push up daisies. The body pushes up daisies, but the body's not you. And you see the illusion. They're in an automobile driving, and they're saying, "Hey, I'm the automobile. I'm the Corvette. I'm the Stingray. I'm I'm Thunderbird or whatever." But they don't get it that there is an eternal walk that we're going on, and coming together as in the classic example of man and woman, was to stimulate the love, and the love stimulates the desire for fulfillment and awareness of our true nature. We're here just like animals. We're here today, and then we go back to dirt. No, we're not dirt. We are spirit, and the spirit is hiding, and we have to identify with the two natures, the lower and the higher, and that's what doesn't happen within this world, and it's really to blame, say, blaming people outright when we've really been deceived. We've had the wool pull over our eyes. So it's not like, or like the classic, they want to, it's our fault because we're slaves. Like I had something to do with it, right? When I went to these patriot meetings, I call it Patriot Land, sort of like Disneyland, and they're just on another merry-go-round. But they say, yeah, it's our fault. It's your fault because you didn't vote, or like I could have changed everything. I didn't know that. I thought I'd been there and done that already. Or I like the phony the phony political argument that they came up on television every now and then, told us. They said, well, the reason things are bad is because not enough of you voted. Oh, okay. So let me see. There's only two parties, and there's the right and the left. And so if there were more people voting, then we'd have the right or the left. I don't get it. What's the difference if you have 20 people voting or 10 billion people voting? You've only got the Democrats, the demon crap, and and the Republicans, and so you see what I'm saying? How they okay, more people voting is going to change something, right? Of course, they got you not voting because you're on the high seas in their emerging sea, in their craft, in their Admiralty Sea, and the ship of state. They pulled into port. They're doing business, and pretty soon they're going to be pulling out of port, and it's all crashing around us. Yeah, I've been there, done that, and you can't save the world, ladies and gentlemen. Try working on yourself, okay, and see how that works, because we've got a great work on working on ourselves. It is it is the grand illusion, okay, and that way, good to have you. Welcome to the broadcast. We got our 6-pack going again. Love it, and glad you're here. You all keep me motivated. And one day, maybe we'll have a revolution in thinking, and there'll be 100 people here. If we had 100 people here, I would think it would be 1 million. Because I'm overwhelmed at the the fact that people prefer. Well, the metaphor is the old wine versus the new wine. You see, and so what happened was. Or the example of that is, because remember where Yeshua told the parable about the wine. He says, no, you can't put new wine into old skin. because the new wine will expand, and then it will burst, the old skin. So you've got to put new wine into new bottles, and then both will be preserved. So that's where you have to make yourself a new vessel. You have to transform yourself into a new creation. It just because you get buried into the water, into the the waters of purification, you still have to work. You still have to put on the nature of Yeshua and Yahweh by throwing things off the ship, by pulling things up onto the ship that are better, and by examining all the things that you do and the things that you say. And so it's a work, it's a walk, it's a work, and it's a whack at times as well, because you're going to get hit upside the head one way or another by attempting to escape the world, because the world doesn't want you to escape. It wants you to be bound here forever, like dirt. And then so then the next example of the new versus old we see then when Yeshua is on the burning tree, which is the cross and also the curse. Then when he's nailed up there right before he's ready to expire, he says, "I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty." And so so one of the soldiers takes the a long stick, and he puts the sponge on it, and he dips the sponge into a vessel of wine vinegar, because the wine that's old, turns to vinegar, right? And so he puts it up to his mouth, and he tasted it, but he would not drink it. You see? And so what happened to the wine that was Yochelleg, that was Jerusalem, had gone bad, and it turned into vinegar. And of course, you can't drink vinegar, right? So he tasted it; it was vinegar, and he couldn't drink it. And so the old wine, Yeshua in this picture is telling us that the old wine went bad. Sure, it did. It was the firstborn. It was the Dezert-Owl of the lower chakra, the lower world. They couldn't go. They were rejected, kicked out, and annihilated. And then a pseudo Israel came back, and people still think it's legit. When there's a total switch out with a false Israel, and then so what Yeshua brought us is the new wine. He brought us the new wine, but it has to be in a new vessel, so it couldn't be in that old covenant relationship either. But then what is one of the scriptures, and I think it's in one of the lost gospels. I can't remember which one it's in off the top of my head, but it says that or maybe the Gospel of Thomas, that people prefer the old wine because they're already drunk on it, and they taste the new wine, but they say, no, the old wine is better. They like the old wine. They're drunk on the old wine, and of course it's easier. It doesn't take as much commitment or as much work or dedication or self-examination in order to be able to have, to go into what the new wine is offering, and the new wine is offering a new life. But then the old world is over. The old world is gone. There's no more party. But there is a greater enlightenment, and through the greater enlightenment comes a greater joy, a greater peace, and a greater happiness. That is part of the great mystery, And so it's tragic that nobody can define these metaphors and these symbols and these allegories and these parables. They just read them, and then they get on to the next verse, and they never got the picture for what this is really all about. It's so tragic. I see where I am within the scripture by being able to interpret the message. I'm so grateful for the one that says, that there was a man who had planted a field, and he got his servants to go plant the seed, and then then they came back and they said, "Hey, master, didn't you tell us to plant the seed? Well, you got tares growing up with the wheat. Do you want us to go pull them up?" And tare is a weed. That's basically just a weed. No matter how you look at it, there's a plant they say that looks similar to the wheat, and that's okay. That's it's irrelevant to the simplicity of the story. Somebody planted the weeds, and the weeds are the things that choke your life. That you can't be what you really want to be or do what you want to do without just something happening because something's not right. And so Gospel of Thomas 47. Well, thank you, Shelley. You actually discovered that. Thank you. How'd she do that? Anyway, I didn't know she even read the Gospel of Thomas. I know she just recently got the Nag Hammadi library, but Google, laughing out loud. All right. So I should have known. I was thinking that actually. So with me, I have the story where I wanted to be able to just march right into the kingdom of heaven. Then I found out the truth that I had a lot of work to do, and so I ended up finding myself 40 years in a wilderness, all by myself, alone with the truth, and finding out nobody was talking the truth, part truth and part lies. Well, a lie is not a part of the truth. You can't have a little bit of darkness and a little bit of light, And so in the process of sifting and self-examination and growing, I found out that I had these weeds, that were in my life as a result of improper nurturing by my pretend parents, and so I had to then deal with it, and I had to attempt to pull these weeds out, and so then it says, so what did he say? He says, so wait, let the weeds and the wheat grow together, and then at the harvest, meaning when you're ripe, when you're ready to be picked, then he says, then you can pull out the weeds and pull out the fruit, the ripe fruit, at the same time, and put all the weeds in the garbage bin and burn them, and bring that fruit into my garden. So you see, so he'll allow us to actually grow up in the wilderness and in the body of Yeshua, because that in the grave, because you're not risen yet, because you were not harvested, because you couldn't receive the great breath of the wind and fire until you finally worked it all out. Then finally he says, Lazarus, come forth. And you receive the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit, and those weeds are rooted out of you. He is the author and the finisher, but you have to do a work first. You have to be working on it. You got to be hitting the books. You got to be meditating, praying, fasting. Anything that will help you to unravel the great mystery and to overcome the self. It's the hardest thing to do. When it says love your enemies as you love your neighbor as you love yourself. Well, there's no problem. Everybody seems to love themselves real well, but to the point of default, and therefore then they forget about everybody else. Somehow that's that serpent, that slimy serpent just wants to suck the life out of everything and everybody else for its own benefit. That's sort of like the Freemasons and the Vatican, and really, Benny Hinn, he's a classic, isn't he? Benny Hinn, bodyguards, multi-billionaire, and he was originally a shoe salesman, and then Monty Hall from Let's Make a Deal contacts him and says, hey, we want to bring you to the Illuminati party. You want to join? All you got to do is put on the big show, and man, you mean I can have all the money I want, pretend to be a healer, and walk back and forth on a stage, wear white coats, and yeah, I think I like that idea better than selling shoes, and just it's so insane, and people actually eat that up, Oh, it's pathetic. It is so pathetic that people are so deluded, that you got to get alone. You got to get away from the crowd. You got to separate, go in a cave somewhere in a closet in your own bedroom. Don't come out until you have an experience of some sort that is out of this world. Ask for a revelation, a vision, a communication, something that will affect you. So wait a minute, something's going on. The Great Spirit just communicated with me. I know it's like we got the example of Gideon. He said, if you've called me out, Elahe, then let there be dew on this sheepskin, but no dew on the ground. And then it happened the next day, and he says, wait a minute, okay, but I got to double check. I mean, is this real? He says, okay, Yahweh, let there be dew on the ground tomorrow, but no dew on the sheepskin. And then he goes out, and there's the dew on the ground, no dew on the sheepskin. So he knows that's too powerful. That's too supernatural. This is not an accident, you know. And so there's an experience, ladies and gentlemen, to be had. But you've got to to use a cliche, call Yeshua's hand. He's making an offer. You know, he will reveal himself to you. He will reveal. Okay, that's his job. That's what he wants to do. But we are so dense in our thinking, and we're drunk on the old wine of Benny Hinn. You know, it's another. Just like Jerusalem was the old wine, and Yeshua brought in the new wine. But immediately, the new wine became corrupted through the government and through religion and the occultic. They took over all the scriptures, all the writings, took over the tradition. Roman Empire becomes Christian. You know, and all of a sudden they'll kill you if you don't tote the line that they've laid out. You know, and so it became like the old wine again. The new wine became sour and stale and vinegar, but yet the new wine is still here. Okay, so but yet we see the people in religion and Baskin Robbins with their 600 flavors, they've got another version of old wine that's turned into vinegar. You can't drink it. That's why good people wouldn't today don't even want to even think of becoming what we call a Christian, because they see the hypocrisy and the phoniness. And Ninja's trying to talk to me. What's going on, Ninja? Desert, I know what Nova did when he left the Ark, and the question from the other day. I was wondering if I was going to have to ask that question again. I know what he did when he left the Ark and went and I want to know why he built an altar. Isn't that the opposite of what we should be doing? Yeshua is in the heart, right? But you have to remember they were in the old world. Ninja, that's it's what they did back then because it was of a different setting. In other words, Yeshua brought in the new wine. You see, that's what I was saying. The old wine, they built altars. The new wine, we find out that the altar is the heart. You got it. Okay, congratulations on the research. You win the prize. I don't have anything to offer you. I'm sorry, but you get a high mark. Okay, because it's the new wine is in the new golden age of light. You see, the golden age of light is here. Even though the occult eclipsed the light with the darkness again, the light is still here. We can't turn out the light. It's always at high noon. You see, even at nighttime, it's high noon in your darkest hour, in your darkest moment. When I was in the cell and they're trying to railroad me, the light was shining. The revelations were coming. I'm being told, hey, you're getting out, my son. Wait a minute, really? Wow. Okay, he's told me 12 different ways in visions. I'm getting out. More than that, actually. You know, I can give you some powerful examples. I mean, he is so profound. He's so profound in his ability to give you a vision that he uses nature, people, events, timing. All of these things are connected. Boom, bada bing, bada bomb, and you got the message. Okay, you got the message. I'll share some of that down the road with you. I don't want to get talked out now because I've got ways to go here. Let me take a sip and we'll get on with the broadcast here. Want to welcome you if you're a new listener and you're listening to Forbidden History Live, and we have a perspective that's a little deeper and more refined than what you're going to get from Benny Hinn or the Baskin Robbins store, ladies and gentlemen, because there's only one truth. And the truth, the way you know it, is because it's not a part of any lie. That's the key indicator, you know, because everybody likes to wrap themselves in the word truth, you know, truth this, truth radio, truth that. And then usually you find out they're run by Jesuits or something other, you know. So, but we can point you to the lies, and so you won't have any doubt that these lies have connected themselves with the truth, therefore covered the truth, and turned the truth into vinegar when it's supposed to give us life. Okay, so let me turn the page here. Well, I hope I got enough voice today. I'm already feeling it, feeling my age. All right, heart on the book, the dictionary of all scriptures and myths, and the original word for truth is math. That's why Methuselah had math in his name because it, and the shalat, latter part of his name, means the healing root, because it meant at the end of time, the truth would come. Math means truth because math doesn't lie. You know what the old classic saying is, um, liars figure, but figures don't lie, right? Because when you add things up according to math, you get an exact number that is correct, true, correct, complete, not misleading, unless you're bad at math or unless you're trying to fool somebody, right? So and crazy how they cut my sound off, and I have to leave and come back to get to work again. Wow. All right. That way, I'm not sure what's happening there, but glad you tuned in. And yeah, stuff happens. You know, that's for sure. And when you're talking about this stuff will happen. That's for sure. Let me get a little more light here, okay? And I got to turn on the fan as well. So give me. I think I can do it in 15 seconds. Hang on. Gonna take longer. Hang on. Okay, I didn't know I was gonna have to go to the wall and flick the switch, so that was 30 seconds. All right, I'll get better at this. Okay, and but you know, we are the Real Public Radio, and they've got all the money. We don't have any money, but we do get it done on a song, a wing, and a prayer, and that's our job, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be here, happy to do this, and just so grateful to have met so many wonderful people over the past year. All of you are literally new friends. You know, I didn't know any of you a year ago, and we've got Ninja and Shelly G just producing for this important work. And I had a radio network for 6 years, the realpublicradio.net, and about half a dozen people came in at one point, you know, and take down something that costs over $40,000 to produce, with 200 pages, and you know, broadcasting network dedicated to exposing child kidnapping cases, to help victims 7 days a week with the issues of law, how they could fix, you know, their problem, their situation, victims, you know, and then people you know, come in and they do damage. Just like when I lost my house on a lake, you know, and I was infiltrated by local flunkies, as well as MI6 ex-military colonel with a Missouri license plate that said JPS1. I always figured that meant Jewish Political Society #1. What a license plate! With his souped-up Thunderbird trunk filled with all kinds of electronic gadgets and long rifles and handguns and everything else. You know, he gets away driving all over the country with all that stuff, and pretending to be a patriot while he's, you know, doing, you know, taking down what ultimately was the largest potential actually the largest lobby in America, 7 million truck drivers, and you know, and they couldn't have that. They, you know, so as my retired intelligence officer / double agent, apparently, you know, used to tell me, any group bigger than 3 people has been infiltrated, and they'll even create the materials for you too to help you out. You know, it's quite a world, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yeah, it's so tragic. You know, I've heard so many stories. You know, the government will do everything to produce for you and give you the materials, and then they'll set you up and put you in prison. And yet it was really the government that initiated all of it. You know, they initiated it. It's just absolutely amazing what these people, order followers, you know, sellouts for a paycheck. You know, sell people out for a paycheck. You know, isn't that what kind of people are, you know, could do that and look in the mirror, you know, and think they're somehow special. You know, I can't get over it. It's sickening. It makes you want to puke, you know, and so then you learn the truth. Okay, you learn the truth about the world and about people, and the good news, ladies and gentlemen, this is not your world. We have to just simply pull our bootstraps up, put our thinking caps on, and realize that we have been made an offer for the higher world, you know, not the lower world. The lower world is where we sift it out, And then we say, okay, well, I've had enough of this one. Now let's get on with the other one. And that's what we do. We pull it together. So we're going to read about the heart. And the heart, a symbol of the casual Buddha, as a, see, your body is the Buddha. The Buddha is the bud. The bud is like, you've seen a rose. Classically, the rose is a tight bud, and it's the bud eye. The bud eye wants to open up as a flower. And that's your body. Your body, that's the proverbial lotus that comes out of your navel. You see, it's a metaphor telling you that just like the life came into your body, there's another life that wants to come out of your body in the metaphorical navel. There's your navel geisha tor. Navel is navy, and that's your nave geisha tor. The direction is now reverse. The energy went in and formed your body. Now the energy has to go out beyond the body to leave the body in the reverse osmosis. And so it is the bud eye. The bud eye means you are a flower that is just waiting to open up. You see? Beautiful metaphor, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Nobody gets it. That's the amazing part about it all. A symbol of the casual body as a center of being on a higher mental plane and the receptacle of Atma Buddhe, the spirit within. The heart also signifies the love principle and the higher affections. The heart, the heavenly city, heavenly city would be the city of the sun. The heart represents the city of the sun of the Brahman, but there's your code now. It's so beautiful to have all these codes open up. It is the sovereign. So let's try it again. The heart is the city of the sun of the sovereign. Whoa. There's your sovereignty, where nobody can hurt you anymore. When you have put on the perfection of light, ladies and gentlemen, the heart, the city of the sun. There's your solar plexus, they've told you, and it's the sovereign. And that's out of the Mundaka Upanishad. But notice I had to translate. You see? It said the heart, the heavenly city of Brahman. You see how watered down it is? It's like, what? Okay, that's really cool. Great, man. No, it's the heart, the city of the sun of the sovereign. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. I'm overwhelmed that the Father has taught me how to read, and it's like I'm the only one who can read the Indo-Germanic, in this modern time. And I dropped out of high school. I was just smart enough to know I wasn't learning anything. It just I just wanted to know. I knew I wasn't learning. Why would I want to hang around anymore? And so I'm hitting the road, Jack, and I'm out going towards the sunset and looking for a sunrise at the same time, heading out west. So continuing here on the heart, and the great Dolovhim, who is concealed within the heart, true perfect blood of the earth, a Shan, meditate on the royal title under the guru's instruction. Well, of course, there's only one guru, and that's Yeshua. Under his instruction, there you go. Let's go under his instructions, and you will be happy. That's an Egyptian god. Well, you will be enlightened with joy. We can say that. And in the temple of your heart. You know how they've given us all these Egyptian terms, so we don't get it, like Thoth. Thoth is thought, right? And Thoth is the creator of writing and communication, and that's why his Thoth is thought. Obviously, if he's the author of communications and writing, and so they've given us Pepsi. Pepsi is Pepi, I think, is the name, another version of Pepsi. But there's another Egyptian god. We got all these Egyptian gods from the pantheon all around us, and people want good fortune. Well, fortune is a Roman god, luck, even luck is Moloch. You need more? You need some luck? Here, go to Moloch. He gives you more luck. Moloch, yeah, more luck. He's got a lock on you, obviously, and so it's just an amazing world. Okay, on with the story, ladies and gentlemen, and you'll be enlightened with joy in the temple of your heart. The temple of your heart. That's Makhalif, the Sikh religion. I guess they're seeking. That's better than claiming you got it all. The Sakalya said, and in what does the true abide? Yagnavana, Yagnaval, Yagnavalka. Oh, Yagnavalka, yeah, said, in the heart. Okay, and where does the true abide? The truth in the heart. For with the heart do we know what is true, and in the heart, indeed, the true abides. The truth lives. Brihad Upanishad. Footnote: heart stands here for Budhe, the flower. Manas, Budhe and Manas together. Manas is the food of life, what we would call the metzar, the metzar, the matzah, the bread. Okay, the food. My heart, my mother, my heart, whereby I came into being, may nothing stand up to oppose me at my judgment, my focusing of light. May there be no parting of these from me in the presence of him that keeps the balance. You are my double, the ka. That's the will, the dweller in my body. Verily, how great will you be when you resist in triumph. That's Budge, Book of the Dead. The casual body is the mother. There it is. That's your mother. And you know, the people, it's funny, in Christianity don't even identify with the mother. Okay, so let's see. Nature teaches us that we have a mother and a father, but yet we got a tradition that only talks about the father. But yet the mother and father are one. And then in the old tradition, they had the mother. That's the one that brought the baby forth. But yet then they removed the mother out of it, and they don't even use the word goddess. They use God. And so where's the woman? Where's the mother? You know, so this is another part of the switch out, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to take note of. You know, I talked about how they changed tenses and you know, future tense, past tense of genders, male, female. You know, all of these things are how they've destroyed our legacy. How are you going to unravel the mystery? How can you read when you don't know how to read, when you don't know the name of the game? The casual body is the mother, whereby ego comes into being on the lower plane. There's your serpent again. It is the cause of the series of incarnations, according to physical form, certainly. In the weighing of the heart before Osiris. Let's get serious, shall we? There's Sirius. He must be very serious. Osiris. The true Sirius. Okay, the development of the casual body is judged by its balance against the character. The casual body is the double. There's two of you. One's got to die, and that's the serpent. It's got to be crushed under your heel because he's biting at your heel. The casual body is the double on a higher plane of the personality. And when perfection is reached, there's that dirty word again. And when perfection is reached, the two selves, the lower and the higher, become one and rise up together in triumph into the Buddhic plane. That's the flower of light that opens up. The heart lies in seas of blood which dart in opposite directions. And there, most of all, intelligence centers for Ashan, for blood about the heart is intelligence. So the blood flowing is the symbol of intelligence in the case of the Ashan. That's Empedocles. You know, I feel like I've read this just the other day, but it's okay. You know, I think we need this one again. The heart, or love principle, is the closest contact with the life essence, blood, which flows on energies in opposite ways, or two pairs of opposites. In other words, the life essence is directed towards the objects which involve opposite relationships. And through this conflict, intelligence develops in the mind from the awakenment of the emotion principle. The life essence concentrated in the casual body and the higher affections gives intuition. You got one of those? You didn't pay it at the door when you paid your tuition, ladies and gentlemen, at the university. Don't give your tuition to anybody, okay? Your intuition. Because in is a corruption. It's really the tuition. And that's what they got you to pay at the door, right? You paid your tuition, and said, okay, you tell me what to think. I don't know what to think. I can't, program me, please, somebody. And so gives intuition when it is united with the mental principle. Okay, so the higher has to come together with the lower. The serpent, rather than telling us what to do and ruling our spirit, we have to like subduing the stallion, have to conquer the flesh, and have to put it where it belongs. The heart was considered to be the source of all life and thought. And it was the part of the body that was specially taken care of in mummifying. Yeah, and they always destroyed the brain. I always thought that was amazing. They sucked the brains right out of your head through your nostrils, and then, but the heart at least got special treatment. I guess that's why. Wonder if they. Well, never mind. Sometimes the heart amulet is human-headed with the hands crossed over it, and sometimes a figure of the soul in the shape of a hawk with outstretched wings is inlaid on one side of it. Budge, the mummy. What is mummy? Mommy? Mommy? Mummy is mommy. I'm sure of it because we just said the body is the mother, right? Okay, mommy. The casual body is perfected by the purification of the personality, mummifying. It is the immortal soul, the seat of the higher self, that symbolized by the hawk. As the Aeolian harp vibrates to the wind, so does the heart of man everywhere to the true message of Yahweh, just like we see in the chat here today. J. Brierly Studies of the Soul. The soul is often called the heart of Ashan, or that in and by which things to either corruption or incorruption, perfection or corruption, good or evil, have their rise. Thus, desires are of the heart or soul. Yeah, before desires, the first conception of perfection or corruption is in the soul, the heart. The heart comprehends, wills, affects, reasons, judges, but these are the faculties of the soul. Wherefore, heart and soul are often taken for one and the same. My son, give me your heart, Proverbs 23:26. Out of the heart proceeds dark thoughts, and so on. Matthew 15:19, 1 Peter 3:15, Psalms 26:2, J. Bunyan, John Bunyan. Yeah, I just read this. I didn't take out my post-it note. That's why. All right, that's all right. Both the symbols soul and heart have higher and lower meanings in accordance with the duality of manifestation. There you go. But the Eshavor, heart, of course, as we here mean not merely the seat of the affections, the organ of tender emotion and the like, but rather the inmost sanctuary of personal being, the synthesis of its love and will, the very source of its energy and life. E. Underhill, Mysticism. The great Dolophame's Aisha fire, or the spirit, is throned in the heart. He walks with us as a friend. He breathes into our spirit the inspiration of power and love and a sound mind in the secret place of our trial and our doubt. In the hour when our nature trembles on the verge of fall, in the hour when our being asserts its immortal and perfection in the flowing light against its base temptations, he is with us, inspiring us with the memory of the Mashiach, Christ, calling on us to be worthy of our calling, pouring life and energy into the affections which rise us above our selfishness, into aspirations which make us despise our blindness, kindling hope in the midst of our blindness and despair, and the victory of light to try again when life has failed. Stopford A. Brooke, Sermon, Pentecost. The fact is that the heart is a symbol of the essential life of the shul, of the soul, of the knowledge, of the truth, of the flowing, and the manifestation, thence proceeding for the scriptural writers as well as for the classical writers generally. That's philosophy of religion. And there you have definition on the heart, ladies and gentlemen. I pulled out that pestilent note this time, and next time we'll be on heaven in there. And yeah, you just heard it here for a second time if you didn't get it the first time. And that's out of the Dictionary of Scriptures and Myths. And Shelley, if we can go to a break, and then when we come back, we're going to be in the Lost Books of the Bible and the Forgotten Books of Eden. Unless you have a call, do feel free to call in. Okay, 608-566-7295. That's, I'll slow down, 608-566-7295. Or on Skype, you can call Yochelleg, and it is Forbidden History Live, ladies and gentlemen. 3 words, Forbidden History Live. And I'm Dezert-Owl, your host. Glad you're tuned in. Hope you're telling your friends. We have updated our schedule. We'll give that in more detail in a little while. Okay, so you know when we're broadcasting. We have tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time here in the U.S. Ninja Cat 111 with the Forbidden History Chronicles. We made a slight change on our programming. She's normally on 10 a.m. on Sundays, but we're just bumping her one day, and that's helping her out at the same time. So we sure appreciate the help of Ninja. I heard you smashed your foot with your laptop, Ninja. You've got to stop closing the lid that way, okay? And hope you're doing okay. So we'll be right back. And you did tell your friends, right? All right. Thank you for doing that. We'll see you on the other side.
Stop machine controls seem so well it doesn't show. How can I contain this anguish and this pain, knowing that your eyes are blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order. The new world order does not mean surrendering our national sovereignty or forfeiting our interests.
Welcome back. And Yocheneering while we're doing this as well, because and now the phone's ringing and it looks like we've got Ninja. So give me an audio check, make sure we're doing okay. Somebody out there, please, because I just reconfigured all the settings because I took the headset off and listening. It's a juggling act here. Ninja, what do you think? Is it a juggling act?
Yes, it is, Desert. Hang on, I'm going to get the phone closer.
Thank you, Shelley. Okay. All right.
Okay, I'm good to go.
Okay, you're good. What?
Is that really you in the chat? Are you talking in the chat?
That was me. Yes, I now can go in. I was waiting till Shelley got all the bugs worked out and everything, and then now I'm not touching anything. I'm just going there to chat to everybody. That's all. Now I can type a Chavors all day long if I want to. Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Thank you, Yocheleg, for giving Desert a channel.
Yeah, and that way, hold on, that way has a question. That way says who's singing, and this is Carl Klang. That way, Carl Klang was big in the Patriot movement back in last century in the late 1980s, 1990s, and he is a musical genius. Okay, I've got like 15 of his songs, and I want to maybe do a special one day and just play some of his music because he wrote ballads on all the different events that happened, like from Waco to he wrote songs about the IRS, about one of my favorite ones is about the secret agent, and all that. So he's got classic music, and at the same time suffers from a severe depression, and so it's kind of an irony. The geniuses always seem to be suffering from depression, and so he and I are like in the can relate. That's all I want to say. But so Carl Klang, and I and thank you for that wonderful search and find, Shelley, as well. That was all on Shelley. She pulled that together so that she remembered. I played that once, I think, on my network, and she remembered.
Yeah,
that.
I remember.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah.
It was late last year when you changed the format and you were playing a lot of the old.
That's right. It was right at when everything crashed, wasn't it? Right at the end there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Starry Night. Remember?
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah. Starry Night.
And then the sunset, and that was it, right?
That was it.
So we're back at it, and that's the good news, and we're looking better than ever, and we've got twin towers. So if one goes down, the other one is there. That's a nice to know, and and let's just take advantage of it while we got it. I heard the report of Dane Wigington, Yesterday, it's only getting worse. It's only getting worse. You know, the you
cried at the end
you
of it.
cried, yeah, yeah. The implication that was being conveyed there is our planet is being gassed right now with methane. You know, so we're in a speeding locomotive, speeding to the end of our planet right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I did a bit of research on methane, and you know the little glass. That's how I can describe it. You know the little glass balls that have the little mini lightning inside, where you touch the outside of the ball and you can control the lightning by touching the outside of the glass ball.
I feel like I've seen those before, Ninja, but I may not have ever touched one. I may have seen it on
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was reading about how that was done, and like just after I watched Dane's program, and this was only a couple of hours ago, and that's why I got so upset, because I was thinking of the Venus scenario, and methane inside a glass ball is not good. It's not good, and that's what it's like now on this planet. It's like there's a layer of glass around the whole planet. We're inside a glass ball.
Yeah.
And there's methane building up inside a glass ball, and that is not a good scenario. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Venus syndrome. You were talking about Venus syndrome, and that's that's what'll happen. It's happening now. It's a fact. It's not a rumor. It's a fact. And so we just need to. This is why, of course, this programming is the deprogramming program we have here is of the utmost importance. We can't be misled by false interpretations of scriptures or narratives or words. We need to know factually what the originals were saying. Because these are key elements within our spiritual walk. And just like one of the most important ones is that, like when Yeshua came up out of the water, and then it said that a focusing light came down upon him and with the brightness of a dove, but then they changed it from a focusing light and just a dove came down, but it wasn't a dove coming down. It was a light. The clouds parted. A beam of light came. If you can just picture him, everybody on the shore, he's the only one in the water. He just come up out of the water, and then a focusing light, the clouds part a window, and a focusing bright white beam of light focuses directly on him, like he's on the stage. And then a voice comes down from above and says, "This is my only loved seed. Hear him." You see, not my beloved. What does beloved mean? Like, oh, my cushy, no. It's my only love, my only loved seed. We talk about seed line. Everybody's debating what the seed line is, and they don't get it. They talk about a black guy or a white guy or a serpent, or and they're or that Satan had sex with Eve. All of these bizarre ideas, and yet there's only two seed lines. Those who are in the fall. That's everybody, no exclusion, and then one who was the perfect creation, the first, who made all things. All power was given unto him, and rose from the dead, came back, not coming back. He's here right now, and he is the perfect seed. He is the only loved seed, and so the only way you can also be only loved is to be in him, in a covenant relationship, and go through the waters of purification, and rise again. And so these are the things that are not conveyed correctly, and therefore people have part truth, and then they have part disinformation, non-truth. Well, what's been edited, what's been removed. Not that it's a lie, but they just simply remove part of the element, right? Remove part of the element, so you can't get it right. And I'm sorry for that way not being able to get a good fix on us today. So I don't know what the answer is on that.
There's a lot of issues at the moment. I couldn't sign into my Google account earlier either.
I see.
Yeah, but it's fixed now. I could on my phone, but I couldn't on my computer. Whether maybe it was from dropping it. I don't know. just want to say I'm glad you read that reading about the heart for a second time round anyway, because the more, like, you don't, like, speaking from experience, you don't see everything the first time round. You just don't. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling through the chat while I'm talking.
Okay.
Like some of the stuff that I put in the chat, like I didn't realise that the first time you read through it. I can't even find it now.
Yeah. What's that one certain element in there that I was reading? You did.
The stuff about, like, how we were talking during the last program.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Chronicles, this one. We were talking about heart and soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked, should heart and soul be like that, separate, heart and soul? And during your read, there was a part that said the heart, I can't remember exactly how it was, heart and soul novation during the read.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that as heart and soul being as one.
Yeah. Well, the heart, it probably is not getting enough credit for its purpose, because the mind.
The connection with Yeshua.
Yeah.
And
right.
Sorry, please continue.
Well, we hear. In other words, if we look, we hear with our mind, but then we feel with our heart. So the heart is the elusive aspect of this creature, because when we feel, it's like we feel from the center of our being. The center of our being is our heart, and the center of our creation is the sun, and that's the soul. So I think the soul is something we cannot put our finger on, because it is spirit, and therefore it may be centered at the heart, and then it's what do you want to say? The energy is flowing out, and therefore, how people talk about the aura. So there's an aura that maybe even extends beyond the body itself. It is all one, and so we just can't put our finger on it. And I don't give a full credence to the I don't know enough about that science of people taking pictures of the aura, so I don't talk about it or anything. But I'm allowing for the fact that there could be a true aspect of this phenomena. But the spirit's invisible, and so. It's if it's seen by a photograph somehow, I can't comment on that, because it's I don't know enough about that science. But I know that that we are spirit, and that to keep it simple, we are spirit, and therefore. But it seems isn't it interesting that the word heart, at the very middle, we see the word ear. So it means so they're telling us from ancient time that it's the place of hearing. We don't hear with our mind. Yeah. We, in other words, we hear it with our ears. It goes through the brain, but then the feeling, it comes into the heart, because then that's where we have compassion. That's where we can be centered for proper hearing. In other words, people can hear with their mind, but if they're not, hearing with their heart, then something is lacking.
Is it?
Yeah.
You just made me realize something else. Wow.
All right.
The heart, like you were saying, is where the compassion is, and all the good emotions come from the heart. All the bad emotions are felt in the head, anger and frustration and fear. They're all felt in the head, and all the good ones are felt in the heart. So there you go.
Okay.
There you go. The mind is Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah,
Okay.
I just saw that. Yeah.
Looks good, Shelley. I think you got it. We can keep it right there. We might want. She's got now a live caller under the ringing phone. So
Yeah, I can see it.
you're our only live caller, and we're going to keep you. Okay. So thank you very much. And
Okay, so you need to put in white Ninja Cat 111 underneath the live.
well, we're going to hope we get another caller, so we'll have two of you. And if we personalize it, then nobody will call in again. So we'll just have to leave it. Right. But you need to stop dropping the computer on your toe. You know, it doesn't help anything. So.
Yeah, that really hurt. I don't know. It feels like it's broken.
Oh no.
Yeah. I can't walk properly, and if it was just me, I'd deal with it. But having to deal with, I might be a ninja, but I have a very low pain threshold.
Right. Right. Well, well, be careful and get better. Okay.
And, yeah, trying to deal with that and look after Mum at the same time. The word dread comes to mind.
No doubt.
I'm thinking it's just another challenge that I have to overcome because each day I see more truth. And that's just the way it is. Yeah. So I'm trying not to let it get to me because there's nothing I can do about it. It's a toe.
Right. Get some ice. Keep some ice on it. All right. Yeah. Get some. You know, you put ice on something like that when it happens right away. You know.
Yeah. I've been doing the ice pack thing.
All right.
And it feels a lot better. It's
Good.
just I can't walk without a walking stick at the moment. It's the middle toe. So and right on the knuckle, the corner of the computer, cushioned. Yeah, the toe cushioned the fall, so the PC is fine.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'll see what it's like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sitting down right now, there's no pain at all, and I haven't taken any painkillers or anything for it. All I've done is ice on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, then get better. Okay. And we'll look for you tomorrow. Then you think you'll be able to do the program at 10 a.m. Eastern?
Yeah.
All right.
Good to go.
All right.
Good to go. I don't need my toe to be honest.
Don't need to walk around for that. Okay. Good deal. Good to hear. All right.
Good to go. I do want to apologise for neglecting a few things because of, it's hard enough to get things done anyway, but dealing with this injury at the moment, I wanted to put up a video to advertise the new schedule for the channels and the programs, and I don't know, there was just a few other things I wanted to do. I never get to go to answer comments and things, and so I just want to apologise and send love and light to all. Love you guys. So,
Okay.
I'll let you get on with it now.
Okay, Ninja, get well, keep your leg up, eat specifically good nutritious things, and that will help you regenerate. Okay, and try to do therapy by moving your foot as much as possible, but not too much of an extreme, but everything that will help, because you got to walk around and help your mom too, and that's really tough. You may want to consider putting a block and taping it under your foot so you raise it off the ground, something like that, and you'll be limping, of course, but no easy fix.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I want to tape up the whole end of, like, all my toes, the whole end of the foot. So that, because knowing me, I'll forget that I've got a bad toe, and I'll bang it on something and be back at the start.
All right.
Because I've already done that once tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Thought it was feeling better, and then walked on it wrong, and
Right.
was back to the start. Yeah, anyway, I'll let you go. I'm
All right.
being rambly because it's
Yeah.
really late here. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your call. Okay, and we'll look for you tomorrow then at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Ninja Cat 111.
Okay.
What they didn't want you to know.
Yeah, that we tell right here, and
All right.
at the Forbidden History Chronicles. Okay.
All right. We'll see you in the chat.
Okay. Peace and light to you always.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye. All right. That's Ninja. And, wow. Yes. And, all right. So we're in the, more accidents happen in the home, they say, than anywhere else. So you got to be careful. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you have a copy of the Lost Books of the Bible and the Forgotten Books of Eden, but that was the first book of lost writings I acquired back, when was that? Maybe 1980, maybe 1981, but I would say right around that area, so around 1980. So I've been reading lost writings now, I don't know, I'm losing track of time. But I just had I was on my couch one day and I remember reading the scriptures and I was just reading them over and over. How many times? It's not hard to read the New Testament because it's not a very big book actually, and which is correctly the Everlasting Covenant. But and I just thought, gee, wouldn't it be great to have another writing about of Paul, or another writing by Peter, or another gospel, or and so then, like, that next week, I was at the bookstore and I'm looking up on the shelf and there's this thing, Lost Books of the Bible, Forgotten Books of Eden, and I'm like, what's that? And I pull it down and I can't get over it. It's two books in one, and it's all these lost writings that I never heard of before, and so I get it for, I think it was $8 at the time. That's when books were a lot more affordable, and I was blown away, so I just started reading, and I could pick out, there was a couple in here that were not what we would call, well, they use the term canonical, but that's just shooting their canon at everything, but the legitimate, and so Paul and Thecla clearly is a Catholic creation, and so not worth it. I wouldn't read it again because it does. I know that it's not the way our scriptures flow, and the sensationalism of the story. So Paul and Thecla is not legitimate, but then most of them are. They just been translated by priests out of maybe Catholicism, or they've been not because of the control of words, even though other independent people were doing translating, because the words that we've received through the Vatican are corrupted, then we use the wrong words for certain terms in the Greek or in the Aramaic or Hebrew. So none of them are perfect, and we have no originals, of course. So, but the thing is, we can read them for inspiration, for edification, for historical content, for enlightenment, for wisdom, for wanting to hear the other story that we've been denied. It's all in there, you see. So, and then you can compare it. Our received scriptures are the rule. Use that as the ruler to judge it by. But the Book of Hermas is in here. Hermas is mentioned in our New Testament. Philo is mentioned in our New Testament. Apollo is mentioned in our New Testament, which is correctly the Everlasting Covenant. Kevanun. Boy, they've really messed up our words, haven't they? I got to transliterate while I'm having a discussion on here, because we're speaking a watered down slimy pig Latin, and we got to get back to the original Indo-Germanic mother tongue that creates pictures and breeds us light. And so I'm in the books of Adam and Eve, the first and second book of Adam and Eve. So the story of the fallen ones, the Watchers, was preserved. These books were found in Ethiopia, and somebody might say, well, gee, what's it doing in Ethiopia? What's that all about? Well, the thing was, you see, Yochelleg, Jerusalem was on the Silk Road. It was a crossroad between Asia, Africa, Europe, India, and they would either go on the east side of Jordan through Petra, or they would go on the west side of Jordan through Jerusalem, Yochelleg, or they could also go through the Gaza Strait. So there was like 3 different routes they could have taken, and then the Gaza Strait would, there's the word Gezer right there, the Gezer Pyramid, the Giza Pyramid, Gaza Strait. It's the gazing, because you'll see the pyramid by going through the Gaza Strait, you see. And so most people might take the middle route because they want to go to the center of the earth, which was Jerusalem. But Petra certainly had its attraction with all of those carvings into the sides of the mountains. Wow, what a sight that must have been way back then, But so the trade routes going through Africa, through Meitzar, falsely called Egypt, or then they may have gone down through near the Sea of Aqaba, or into Arabia, and gone to the side where the Red Sea is, and then crossed over on a barge. I don't know, how the routes all flowed, but the point is that the trade routes definitely, with a connection in Ethiopia, big time. That was obviously an ancient settlement where we see all the ancient archaeology there, and so the Hebrew race had their temples spread out, around the Mediterranean world, and also in Ethiopia and Africa, wherever they would be going along with the caravans. They want to go get some salt too. They want to go get some whatever, whatever gold or ivory or spices or whatever they're wanting to trade in. So if they found it real, natural to want to have their own little temples over in those parts of the world. So they had temples, Hebrew temples in Ethiopia, and so while the writings are being burned and the libraries being destroyed in Yochelleg, Jerusalem, then the writings are being preserved in Africa. They're being preserved in Ethiopia. We know that that Nebuchadnezzar burned down the temples and therefore the libraries, and it happened more than once, in this story. Well, the kingdom was divided, so they had 2 libraries, and we know the Assyrians also destroyed everything. So the beauty behind what Yahweh did is that because of these satellites, then the traditional writings that had been duplicated were in these other temples, and so this is where they're discovered in Ethiopia, and it's sweet, because although there is also a rumor that the Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia as well, and they actually play it up, but you can't go in and look at it, you can't go in, and the door's locked. Sorry, but yeah, there we got the Ark of the Covenant there. No, the Ark of the Covenant we know Ron Wyatt discovered right outside the walls of Yochelleg, right under the very spot that he discovered where Yeshua was crucified, right next to the skull, right there on the road of Calvary. The road of Calvary is the road that goes around Jerusalem because they rode the Calvary on it, the Roman Calvary. So that's why they call it Calvary. Nobody tells us that either. They come up with some other crazy story, always crazy, And it was at the base of the mountain, not on top of it. And right underneath, he had a vision one day, and he pointed over there and he says, "That's Jeremiah's grotto," and in there is the Ark of the Covenant. And he had just discovered Noah's Ark. He had just discovered the real Mount Sinai. Almost had his head cut off. This Ron Wyatt was just the real Indiana Jones, mover and shaker. Wow. He took all of his money from working as a medical technician, and then would go get on a jet and come back to the middle of the earth and go dig dirt, and and so he's proof that he proves out for me that Israel doesn't give a forgive the French, but doesn't give a flip about Noah's Ark or the Ten Commandments or the Ark of the Covenant or the real Mount Sinai or none of it, because they're not Israel. They're following the Babylonian Talmud, and they're just giving the scriptures lip service because they are under cover, the cover of darkness. And so they pretend, the Old Covenant and the law of Moses, which they converted into a bull, Torah, and and so when you have spent your time looking at all the different angles and the different things that are going on, and you're scratching your head, finally the light bulb doesn't go off, it goes on. The light bulb goes on, ladies and gentlemen, and then all of a sudden you see it, and that's really it. But Ron Wyatt, he was amazing. He is amazing. And you got to do a search. Thank you, Lynn. Got to do a search. Well, the true Ark of the Covenant is in our heart, and our temple is our mind as well. But we're talking about the Ark of the Covenant that was in the wilderness for 40 years. So that's still in existence, and it was hiding, and Jeremiah hid it just prior to Nebuchadnezzar destroying all of the citadel of Yochelleg. Okay, so they hid it away, and so it's a remnant, it's a reminder, it's and nobody can go look at it anyway, so it's still buried under the spot. So that's a story for another day. I just wanted to qualify where this writings came from today, ladies and gentlemen. And so I'll tell you what, between the qualifier here discussion and the call with Ninja, I think I just need one more break real quick. Shell, if we can go to a break, and then I'll get on with the read, okay? I want to pace myself because I want to knock this out. You're going to hear the story about the fallen watchers that nobody talks about, and it's in writing, it's in a book, and we don't even have to guess at it. We don't have to guess at it. We got the scoop, okay? It's in the first and second books of Adam and Eve. I've read them several times from cover to cover, okay? And this is the legacy they hid from us, those tricksters. Don't go away. You're tuned into the Emergency Broadcast System, Forbidden History Live. I'm Dezert-Owl, your host. Glad you tuned in. Hope you tell your friends. We don't figure we're going to be here very much longer, and to pull these pieces of the puzzle together is paramount for our spiritual truth, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. Be right back. thank you for giving me that relief and for joining us today on the broadcast. We're modifying our times as we go to find the best slots, and so we're every Sunday now at 12 noon Eastern Time. Tentative, of course, it could be a few minutes late sometimes, but we're looking at 12 noon on Sundays. And we didn't last week. We didn't have much in the evening. Only a very few people. So we modified and found out that it was good for Ninja to move to Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Okay, and 7 watching and 3 thumbs up. It's okay that everybody doesn't. I think consider all that so important that way. It's okay. I'm not keeping score anyway myself, because it's what we're finding out actually with the broadcast. It's really amazing. It's almost consistent with at least I don't know if it's all the broadcasts or not, but I've watched it go up on our broadcast to 35 people. And then just this happened like 2 days ago, and then it went down to 17. I saw it go up to 56 people on another one of our YouTubes, and then it went down to like 25 or something like that. What's really bizarre is the easiest thing for anything to happen on a computer is to keep count. Like keeping count is the most basic thing a computer can do, and to realize that literally that they've created a system that discounts viewership, and boom, it drops it back down. I think is about the most indecent system that we could ever ask for. I think they took the U out of you know who. Okay, the U. Yeah, they took the U out, and now it's just tube. Okay, because we know that they're gearing up just more for commercialism and making big money and entertaining. That's all they want to do now is entertain. There's no more you. Okay, there's no more you in the tube. Okay, I'm sorry to tell you that. And so that means we probably won't be in the tube very much longer either. We'll be in the tubes. We'll be going down the tube. You know what I mean? But that's okay. We'll find another venue to go to if we get enough support. Over more than 6 people. We got 1 more right now. That's looking good. But if we can be consistent for a while, I think we'll gain a following because I think anybody, the decent people at least out there, they really do love the truth. It takes a while for somebody to unravel the deprogramming program and realize, the hardest thing I think for any of us to admit is that we've been lied to. We hate to think that our loved one would lie to us. We would hate to think that our preacher would lie to us. We hate to think that our politicians would lie to us, and then we've got to and our teachers, so we have to ultimately realize we've been lied to on a wholesale level, and there's nothing that has not been affected. Just like I talk about, the four elements, show how they lied about the 4 elements. They lie about addition and multiplication and subtraction and division. I show all these symbols and how they reversed it. It's all reversed. And of course, the 5 senses, they told us we have 5 senses. They lied again because we have 6 senses. We have the sense of reason that makes us different than all other creations. All of these things. So we're, nobody talks about these things. I've not heard this presentation of all these lies like this. I've heard different things, but I mean, just the things I just rolled off, about the addition, the multiplication, subtraction, the elements. I've never heard anybody ever talk about them. I'm the only one, that saw it. Okay, and I credit Yeshua certainly. I'm not saying I'm smart enough to figure this stuff out. I'm just grateful for the great breath of the wind and fire that breathes for me that has been guiding me on this journey. I was born at the right place apparently because it was 98 right place in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and I had to come to terms with what I was seeing. What's going on? Who am I? Why am I here? Why am I having these visions? What's going on? And it's because the Great Spirit is breathing and wants to communicate with everybody. But so he grabs somebody. He said, okay, grabs you by the scruff of the neck, says, I'm going to give you a download. go deal with it, okay? And that's ultimately what happened. So it's not that I was worthy of having my eyes open this way. I'm not. He's not even done with me yet. I'm still a problem, you know. I'm and having to overcome that serpent that wants to, you know, rule our lives, you know, and nobody even knows what the serpent is either. That's another amazing thing, you know. It's just like, wow, when are we gonna have a revolution of thinking? Okay, so we're in Adam and Eve, second book of Adam and Eve, chapter 8, and it's about the death. We start with the death of Adam. I figured this would be a good place to start. Let me see. Maybe I'll back up onto chapter 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm going to go back to 7. And when our father Adam and saw that Seth was of a perfect heart, there's that dirty word again. I can't get over it. There it is again, a perfect heart. Something must have been wrong with Seth to have a perfect heart. At least most mainstream Christians would want to identify with that. He wished him to marry, lest the enemy should appear to him another time and overcome him. So Adam said to his son Seth, I wish, my true and perfect son, that you would marry your sister Aquila. And I don't think I need to go into this part here because it's I'm going to go to where he dies, and I'm going to go to the next chapter, chapter 8. So when our father Adam saw that his end was near, he called to Seth, who came to him in the cave of treasures. There's the kava. It's the kava of treasures. Okay, and so it all started in a cave. Like, look at that. The lost books of the Bible and the forgotten books of Eden. I don't have that cover. I don't have that book. Where'd you get that one? Shelley, I'd like to get that cover. I have to get another book. Mine is splitting apart. It's broken up. I've got to get a new book. That's beautiful. I love that one. Okay, I'm assuming that's a hardcover? Okay, anyway, you can tell me later. And and he said to him, my true and perfect Seth, my son, bring me your children and your children's children, your offspring and your offspring's offspring. You don't want children. That's chilled and killed. There's that code. And that I may shed my barokem, not blessing, but barokem, the endowment and the enlightenment and the inseparation on them before I die, because they were a separate people. Obviously, the Aryan race was and is a separate people. Of course, they got pretty well homogenized and pasteurized and filtered. And when Seth heard these Ashavors from his father Adam, he went from him and shed a flood of tears over his face and gathered together his offspring and his offspring's offspring and brought them to his father Adam. But when our father Adam saw them around him, he wept, and having to be separated from them. And when they saw him weeping, they all wept together and fell upon his fascia and breathing. How shall we be severed from? How will you be severed from us, our true and perfect Father? And how will the earth receive you and hide you from our eyes? And this is how they spoke, and they were lamenting very much in these similar forms of words. And then our father Adam, Barucheth, endowed and enlightened them with a mind's eye for seeing in the night, and all of them. And he breathed to Seth, after he had endowed and enlightened them, true, perfect, and complete Seth, my Zan, my seed, my son. You know this world that is full of sorrow and trouble. And you know all that has come upon us from our trials within it. I therefore now command you in these Ashavors words to keep innocency, to be pure and just, and trusting in Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, and lean not to the discourses of the serpent. It says Satan here, but it's the serpent, and that's the ego, and that's the fraudulent nature of the deception of man. nor to the apparitions in which he will show himself to you. But keep the mandates that I give you this day. Then give the same to your son Enosh, your Zan. And let Enosh give it to his Zan, Ganun, and Ganun to Mahalalel, so that this mandate arise firm among all of your seed. True, perfect, complete, Seth, my Zan, the moment I am dead, take you my body and wind it up with myrrh, aloes, and cassia, and leave me here in this keva of treasures, in which are all these tokens which Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, gave us from the Ganun. My true and perfect Zan, hereafter shall a flood come and overwhelm all the creation, and leave out only 8 souls. But my true and perfect Zan, my son, let those whom and Zan is, the word as we see in Zen, it's what it implies with like the sun, S-O-N, S-U-N, means that we have infinite, we have infinite potential. You see, that's why the word sun is really Zan, because we, unlike all other creation, have an infinite potential, ladies and gentlemen, with our life, with our being, with our thinking. We can transcend this world. And so that's why, again, these words being corrupted have little, we don't get any pictures. They've been destroyed. They are now abstract, and they don't tell us anything other. It's just like, could call them Baba, it wouldn't be any different. So wrap my body and and in these tokens which the great Elohim gave us from within this lower garden. My Zan, hereafter shall a flood come upon the earth and overwhelm all the creation, leaving out only 8 souls. But my true and perfect Zan, let those whom it will leave out from among your seed at that time take my Bodeh with them out of this keva, and when they have taken it with them, let the oldest among them command his seed to lay my body in a ship until the flood has assuaged, and they come out of the ship. Excuse me. And they will take my Bodeh and lay it in the middle of the earth. That's Jerusalem. That was the center of the earth. So they were going to take it back. That's where we found Noah. That's where we found Abraham. Zabraham learning for 40 years from Nova at the center of the earth. That's Yerulei Shalom. And you got to read the book of Jasher to make these connections. Otherwise, you would not be able to. And shortly after that, they have been saved from the waters of the flood. For the place where my Bodeh will be laid is in the center of the earth, and the great Elohim will come from there. Sure, the great Elohim is Yeshua. He came from there and will save all of our relations, save mankind. So you see, this is the evidence that this is a legitimate scripture, ladies and gentlemen. It couldn't say it more correctly in this narrative. It's spelling it out. It's beautiful. This is why we need to compare, and then we can know. Okay, but most people don't want to have to read something else. They don't want to have to put a little effort out to grow, to know. And so I guess they're not going to go. But now, true and perfect and complete Seth, my Zan, place yourself at the head of your people, tend them and watch over them in the fear and reverence of Yahweh, and lead them in a very perfect way. Command them to fast unto Yahweh, and make them comprehend that they ought not to listen to the serpent unless he destroy them. Then again, sever thy seed and your seed from Gain's seed, and do not let them mix with those, nor come near them either in their words or in their actions. And of course, they could easily identify them because they were the redhead spotted. They became stained with blood. Cain did, and and therefore had the bright red hair and the spots. They were known as the Celtic. They had the killing technology. Of course, Cain was the first official murderer, so they knew how to kill, and so he got the stain of blood on him, and then they became the warfaring class, the puppet kings of the Aryan Brahmin priesthood, the sovereign priesthood, sovereigns, and they were the Phoenicians classically, and they were known as also the Canaanites, but of course it was the Genunites, which is meaning that the place they lived they considered to be the lower garden, what's called the promised land. We never get that picture either. They changed the word from Genun to the garden at high noon to seed of Cain. So there's a lot with these words that we're not getting, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why I always continue to elaborate on them, because it is so important. It was the land. It was called the land flowing with milk and honey. Well, what is the milk? The milk is the introduction through the word of a story, of a bigger picture. Okay? Like they went to Jericho and the walls came down, but Jericho is Yariko. Yariko means the father is rich. The father is rich. Okay? And so if your walls come down and you stop hiding behind your walls and stop being a phony and put on the true quality of the true creation of the perfect one, of Yeshua, then the walls come down, and then you find out that the Father is rich. He's rich towards you. You see, and he starts to communicate with you, and he starts to be active in your walk and in your life in a way that is so supernatural. It's like, wow, as the classic statement goes, wow. And then the next place they went to was Gilgal. And then because the walls came down, what's the next thing that happened? They go to Gilgal, which means to roll away the stone. The stone is rolled away, and now the great breath of the wind and fire can breathe into you, and you can be fulfilled. So there's your milk. And the honey, what is the honey? The honey is the interpretation. It is the one eye. Honey is one eye, because it is only the story and the play of the one. But this was the center of the earth. This is where it was all happening. This is where you get the story. And so you want the milk, and milk is also the malak. The malak means the mother's message. So the milk is the mother's message in the symbols, within the eshavors, within the words that tell us who we are, where we are, why we are, and when we are. But we don't get the picture, not even that it was called, Genon, the garden at high noon, meaning that he's always at high noon. He's always active. He never sleeps. He's good to go, and he's trying to show you a message. You see? So we have to get the picture. The land flowing with milk and honey, and they destroyed it with mud, Talmud, and slime. That's what they did. Okay. And lies and deceit and deception. Then and ignorance and blindness and false eshavors, false words, false narratives, false translations, lies, deceit, all built one upon another. Priesthoods. And then they grab their King James version and say, don't mess with my King James. While the Old Covenant's called the Metzarite text. The Metzarite text, the original word for Egypt, Metzar. Right? What a joke. What a joke, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so then Adam let his Baruch descend upon Seth, his endowment and enlightenment and the separation, with the mind's eye for seeing in the night. So blessing, here's another example, okay? You don't want blessings because blessings are blastings. You want somebody to blast you? Bless you, blast you. You see? And so, but they took away another word and supplemented it, and it was Baruchem. Baruchem. Born of the what it literally means is born of the endowment. The rule. The rule is the sovereignty, right? So that's the endowment. Baruch came. The came is the synonymous with gain. meaning the increase, right? And okay, so that's what we talk about through all the scriptures, is having an increase in our knowledge, in our relationship, and also then in our he says, you be faithful with 1 coin, I'm going to give you 10 coins. You were faithful with 10 coins, I'm going to give you 100 coins. You see, it's all about the advancement in the spiritual realm. And so the land, so the Baruch is the endowment and the enlightenment and the separation, those 3 aspects, with a mind's eye for seeing in the night. You acquire through the Baruch the mind's eye for seeing in the night. You learn how to rule. The rule, Barul, came. Baruch came. There's the word, in the sense of coming, the game. We're piercing through a veil, as it says in the scriptures, darkly. And so there's more that can be said about these things. I'm giving you, what has blossomed over a long process, and yet I know there's more. I know that we're not there anymore. We're not there 8,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. We're looking back and piercing the veil. And it's tragic what has happened, but it was meant to be. This is the nature of this odyssey that we're in, ladies and gentlemen. But it is possible to know and have it been made more clear. There's no question that the original thought transliteration project is closer to the core of the original than anything else. Okay, that's a fact. Even if it's only 90% there, in certain terminology or scriptural interpretation, the others are totally off the mark. The wrong words, the incorrect translations. How are you going to get back home with a map that doesn't have the right words on it and all the names are changed? How do you go home that way? You can't. You cannot. Okay. So, and he turned to his son and he said, Seth, to Keva and to his wife, and said to them, preserve the gold, the incense, and the myrrh. That's what was given to Yeshua when he was born. That the great Elohim had given us for a sign. For a sign. That was the sign coming to him, not by somebody from Yerushalayim Shalom, but not from Eshareul, but from Persia. The Persians came, the fire sons, who also recognized the one deity, the Ahura Mazda, through Zarathustra, also known as Zoroaster. Okay? The zero star, the Zoroaster. The A star, the 0A star. They're speaking truth in the very title. The 0A star. We talk about the symbols, right? They had it right. And and of course then there was Cyrus, who let them go back and rebuild the temple because it was a common thread. So there's another duality within this story, where Israel's really the stoop and the poop, and it was Persia that should really get more credibility for honoring the one, and recognizing the source of all life. And we can read it in the Shavuos. They corrupted some of those words as well, but nonetheless, it still breathes truth. Okay, so for in the days that are coming, a flood will overwhelm the entire creation, but those who will go into the ark will take with them the gold and the incense and myrrh, together with my Buddha, and will lay the gold, the incense, and the myrrh with my Buddha in the center of the earth. Then after a long time, the city in which the gold and the incense and the myrrh are found with my Buddha will be plundered. But when it is spoiled, the gold and the incense and the myrrh will be taken care of with the spoil that is kept, and nothing of them will perish until the Eshavor, the word of God, the Eshavor of Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, made flesh, will come. And so, is it possible that the very gold and myrrh and frankincense that was given was the original? I don't know, but it's implying that. At least it's symbolic as a sign, when the Malachim will take them, when the kings will take them and will offer to him gold in token of his being Malach, royal Malach, incense in the token of his being Yahweh, of the throne of the sun, the great Dolovim, and earth, and the myrrh in the token of his passion. Let me get a sip here. Okay. I can tell this stuff is not popular, and but that's okay. As long as I got my 6-pack, I'm doing all right, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take a sip of my drink here. They probably have it blocked, so we can't have more than 6 listeners, or something like that. These tricksters, they've got a way of doing it. They really can put the fix in. The world dominating Zionists of the Babylonian Talmud, hate the story of Yeshua, and of course they've got the guillotines and the concentration camps all good to go, the rail cars, and and all the police are going to follow, and the sheriffs are going to follow in line with Bubba and the Masonic guru, and do what they're told to do, because they're good old boys and they got that secret handshake, And all right, 19. And gold also is a token of the overcoming of the flesh. Here it says Satan, but it is the flesh. That's the serpent. The gold also as a token of the overcoming of the flesh and all our enemies. Who are the enemies but mankind? Who's your enemy but your neighbor? Who's your enemy but your family member? Who's the one causing problems in your life? Not some invisible creature. Oh, there's somebody that's naked. I think they're feeling a little bit naked over there, aren't they? That's right. Don't look at me. What are you looking at me for? Oh, look at yourself, buddy. Yeah. You think I'm cute? Take a look at yourself. Yeah. Okay. Are we having fun yet, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. So gold as a token of the overwhelming serpent, the flesh, and all our enemies. They're all dressed in the serpent flesh. That's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Dense matter, dense minds, dense thinking, dense matter, and deception. There's a clique. You're at the bottom. They're at the top, and they're keeping you down. Incense as a token that he will rise from the dead, and be exalted above things in the sky and things on the earth. And myrrh as the token that he will drink bitter gall and feel the pains of the grave and of the flesh. Okay. And now, true, perfect, and Seth, my seed. You must see and read it for yourself. I have revealed unto you the hidden mysteries which the great Yahweh hath revealed unto me. The great Dolohim has revealed. Keep my mandates for yourself and for your people. Chapter 9. When Hadam, the creation, that's symbolic of the creation and also the higher enlightened creation, had ended his commandment to Seth, his limbs were loosened, and his hands and his feet all lost power, and his mouth became dumb, and his tongue became ceased altogether to speak, and he closed his eyes and gave up the spirit. The host. It says ghost, so host means the sun host, the soul, the G host. The G is the symbol of the sun, and if you look at the small g, it's interesting how it looks just like a cobra. Take a look at a small g, ladies and gentlemen. You'll see the cobra. It's the symbol of the sun. The G is the light, the gold, the geode, that which is round, and it's the sun host, the sun, the soul. That's what we call it. It's the sun. Soul is sun, solar. Okay, see how the tricks are. We don't get the pictures all of our lives, but I'm trying to spell it out for you. Okay, but when his seed saw that he was dead, they drew themselves over to him. And Ashon and Ashaphe, men and women, old and young, weeping. And the death of Hadam took place at the end of 930 years, when he lived upon the earth, and the 15 day Dayel of Barmudeth, after the reckoning of an epoch of the sun at the 9th hour. It was on a Friday, that the very day on which he was created, on which he rested on, and the hour in which he died was the same as that at which he came out of the Ganun, out of the Eden, of the atom. He came out of the atom into the lower garden, came out of the light of the sun and into the lower garden, the garden of atoms to the garden of dirt, down here below, the garden of deception. This is the garden of deception, ladies and gentlemen. Not in the light. In the light, there is no darkness. That's what it says in 1 John. There is no darkness. Down here, it's all dense, virtually all dark, except for those little points of light that we can see at nighttime. Then Seth wound him up well and embalmed him with plenty of sweet spices from sacred trees and from the only true anointed moon 10. And he laid his body on the eastern side of the inside of the keva and the side of the incense, and placed it in front of him a lampstand kept burning. And his keva stood before him, weeping and wailing over him the whole night until the break of day. Then Seth and his son Enosh and Genon, the sons of Enosh, went out and took good offering to present unto Yahweh. And they came to the altar upon which Hadam offered gifts to the great Dol of Haim, which he did offer. And anybody that's trying to figure out a word, remember, you can always call in on the phone. You can always call in on Skype. I'm happy to repeat if you're new, what any of these Eshavor's words mean, because we're doing it to help edify. Okay, we're here for you. This is what this is about. Okay, I'm not here to hear myself talk. I want to you to know that you can know that we can absolutely define these things in finite detail. Okay, not in abstract terms, but in finite detail, letter by letter, even. Okay, the symbols are speaking; they are words by themselves. Then Seth and his son Enos and Genun, Enos went out and took good offerings and present to Yahweh. Okay, I read this. But Keva said unto them, wait until we have first asked the great Dol of Haim to accept our offering and to keep him by the soul of Hadam, his Sharfan, and to take it up to the rest. And here it says servant, but servant is Sharfan. There's the original word for servant, ladies and gentlemen, Sharfan. I'll spell it out right in our, right here. How about that? You take advantage of this. Let me see. Serpent, S-E-R, servant. Not, well, this is interesting. Serpent, yeah, let me do this. Sir, it's S-E-R-P-E-N-T becomes servant, S-E-R-V-A-N-T, which originally is Shar, S-H-A-R-P-H-A-N-N. There you go. You see? There's how the words look like, sound like, act like each other. You see? The serpent is the servant. The serpent is the sun. That's the first serpent. That's the big serpent. That's the one that keeps going around every day. The serpent eating its tail, the Ouroboros. Aura means light. Okay? And the boar means it keeps going around. Like a boar, you know what I mean? Close to the ground, close to the earth, always going around the earth. And but the servant, then you can see in servant, Sharfan. The T is silent. It's not servant, and it's not serpent. It's serpan. The T is silent. Serpan, Serfan, and in Serfan you can see Sharfan. And in the word Sharfan you can see the word sharpen, and also surfing. When you go surfing, you're riding the serpent. You go surfing. You can see that, right? And if you see a shark in the water, you say the shark fin. the shark fin. And so you see the fan is power. Fan is power, and the shar is like the sharp brightness of the sun, the sharp power. That's another way you could interpret it, the sharp power. So you see, so our body is a sharp pan. Just like the sun of atoms is the sharp pan, our body is a collection of atoms, and it's a sharp pan. It's a shining power. Yeah, we shine. You go out in the sun, your skin will shine. Even if you're black, your skin will shine. It's a sharp fan. It's a power machine, and so your car could be a sharp pan from that standpoint. Your automobile is shining, and it's got power under the hood. It's a sharp pan. And boy, and the car can go like a serpent too. Turn it left, turn it right, turn it left, turn it right. It moves like a serpent. You see? So we have to see things in their true light. And so what was the wealthy in ancient time, when they had a servant, they literally knew that they were not calling him the abstract, what we think of when we say servant, but they were saying, this is my serpent. A serpent, go get me some tea, please. And he's a good serpent. He's not a bad serpent. I love my serpent. My serpent does everything I ask him to do. Well, it's the same as the body, right? Your body's the serpent. Your body does whatever you tell it to do. Hopefully, unfortunately, some people have fallen to disability, and so the serpent doesn't always obey what we tell it to do. But most, if we're healthy, then our serpent is good to go. We've got a good serpent, nice serpent, but actually the serpent also gets a little egotistical at time and feels pretty good about itself, and likes to look in the mirror and say, well, you're a beautiful serpent. I love you, babe. And we get a little bit cocky that way. So we've got to put everything in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't see the original thought there, then I don't think you're ever going to see it, because it's so basic right there. And this is how many of the other, words are as well. That they're close, they're almost, but they're slightly different. And then, of course, they got people thinking serpent is devil and demon and all, and all these other. Each one of these words has a meaning that goes back to an original, and it's not what you think it means. Okay, you've been tricked. You've had the wool pull over your eye. You've been punched in the nose and kicked in the groin. You're bent over, and you say, "Oh, I get it." No, you don't. You don't get it. Okay, because you do, because you're the six pack here. I have to have another name for y'all. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to the story, shall we? Okay. I get on a roll because I'm so grateful that you're tuned in. You're the best audience in the world, and so I feel committed to spelling it out for you. Okay, we got to spell it out, otherwise you're not going to get the picture. And I want you to be able to see it for yourself, and to know that you know that you know, and you can do that. Hang on. I'll tell you what, it's World Mr. Smith. Okay, there we go. So, and continuing. And so they all stood up and they created light, prayed. And Adam was the first. All these ideas for slide images, very good. Yeah, we really do have to have a slide presentation. Well, I got this thing where I can write, and we'll have to learn how to do a screen share, maybe, and then I could just write on that tablet. And do it that way also, Shelley. That's possible. That's our next one of our next tests we'll have to work on. Okay, so Adam was the first, and when they had ended their creation of light, their prayer, the word, the Eshavor of the great Elohim came and comforted them concerning their father Hadam. After this, they offered their gifts for themselves and for their father. And when they had ended their offering, the Eshavor, the word of the great Elohim, came to Seth, the eldest among them, saying unto him, true, perfect, and complete Seth. That's the letter O. Okay, whenever you hear me say the true, perfect, and complete, you ever notice there's a word every now and then it pops up in some of the scriptures, and it's the big O. It's just an O all by itself. Oh, Seth. Oh, Seth. No. It's a symbol that, and a word by itself, and it's to be interpreted, and literally, most of them are on three levels. So it's true, O, the zero, means true, perfect, and complete. There's that dirty word perfection again. Let me put it in the thing. Okay, no, that's the wrong one. O is, okay, true, perfect, and complete. There you go. That's what the circle represents. And it goes back to the sun. And I should have added the sun. S-U. Oh, no, not S-U-N. Well, S-U-N, yeah, but also slash T-S-O-N. Oh, you see, they're the same word. The U is a corruption. It's one word. It's not two words. It's one word, S-O-N, sun, probably spelt with two N's correctly because two powers come down. The duality came down, you see? And so there's the code. You're only getting it here. Okay, you're not going to get this anywhere else. And I guess nobody else cares, and that's okay. That's all right. No hard feelings. They've got to work out their own salvation with fear and trembling, just as everybody else does. And you know, the Latin, they spell it with the V, S-V-N, you know. And the V is a good symbol in the sense that it, you know, it's the virgin light. It's the V coming down. It is. So even the Latin is correct by the symbol, but we don't pronounce it that way. We say sun. But it's correctly, actually, that's a corruption. And the word is really like this, T-Z-A-N-N. There's the word. There it is. And what does that mean? It means infinite. And infinite, and the word "and" by itself means harvest. So literally it implies when the atoms are coming down in the creation, right? The light creation, the emerald fire, this the emerald city of this earth, the emerald green, the emerald fire of creation that is a product of a star. It's an infinite creation. That's what Zan means, infinity, like the Zan on the beach, the sand, and there is going to be, as a result, a harvest, and that's the Anna, A-N-N-A, and then we can see when you rearrange the letters in the anagram, you can also get N-O-O-N, noon, because there is a harvest at high noon. So the O is an A, the A is an O, and you take the N's and put them on the outside, and it's the dual power, and yeah, it is interesting that way that Tarzan is, you know, you see that, yeah, and I actually thought about that the other day as well. Just a couple days ago, I recognized, you know, that that was an interesting name, Tarzan, because they're telling us in the meaning that he was like the what would be the right way of saying it? You know, the Superman, right? He's the Superman. He's the Tarzan. That's, you know, in essence what it means, the Superman. Yeah. All right. And of course, Superman with the big S on his chest is the serpent man, as well as the suppermen. The suppermen are the Jesuits breaking their little underground meal while they have their little round host in the daytime on Sundays. Okay, so back to the story. And they ended their prayer, okay, and after this they offered their gifts for themselves. Okay, and the great Elohim came and comforted them concerning their father Adam. After this they offered their gifts for themselves and for their father. And when they had ended their offering, the Eshavor of the great Elohim came to Seth, the eldest son, the eldest among them. And by the way, Shelley, if you would, get that Carl Klang song ready, okay? I think I want to go to hear that one again. I think that'd be fun to listen to because we're going to do another break. I'm getting a little long-winded here. I think I can get through this. It'll start getting really interesting real quick here. But because I transliterate and read an original thought, I figure I better spell it out. You know, what can I say? Otherwise, we'll lose everybody. Not that we're gaining anybody, but anyway, it's okay because I know the ones that are tuned in every time they are getting it, and it's a deep science, but it's really easier than learning Greek or Latin. That's the good news, you know. This is basic. We don't have to change the letters. The letters they've already given. These are the letters we've been using all our life. And the capital letters are the power letters. They're the ones that go back to the beginning, and they've been perfected by the Kabbalists. Thank you very much, Jewish Banking Society. You know, because you save us the trouble of having to fix the symbols. It's amazing. Okay, so and their gifts. After this, they offered their gifts for themselves and for their father. And when they had ended their offering, the Ashavor of Yahweh, the great Elohim, came to Seth, the eldest among them, saying unto him, True, perfect, and complete Seth, 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 3 times. As I was with your father, so will I be with you, until the fulfillment of the promise that at the end of time, 2,000 years ago, the end of time, that was the last days, okay, and we can talk about that anytime. The promise I made him, your father, saying, I will send my Ashavor, my word, capital W, and save you and your seed. But as your father, Adam, keep thou the mandates, the commandments he gave you, and sever your seed from that of the seed of Cain. The gain. There's the word Cain is gain, your brother. And the great Elohim withdrew his word from Seth. And so from one father, one parent, mother, father, we get 2 different tribes. Interesting, isn't it? There's your duality again. Then Seth, Keva, and their seed came down from the mountain to the cave of treasures. But the Atom was the first whose shul died in the land of the Atom, in the cave of treasures. Okay, I'm going to read that again because I saw my note and I missed it. But Adam was the first whose soul died below the garden of the atoms, meaning below the sun. The first who died of the Aryan race in the cave of treasure. Well, other than Abel, of course. Abel was the first, actually. And he represented Yeshua in this mystery, by the letters. Story for another day. In the cave of treasures, no one died before him but his son Abel. There it is, who died murdered. And then all the elders of Adam rose up, wept over their father Adam, and made offerings to him 140 days. 140, ladies and gentlemen. And so coming up, we're going to be on Seth becomes head of the most happy and just tribe of people who ever lived. Wow. Okay, but that didn't last too long, and that's the sad part. And so we're going to take another break here. After all, what do we have to do on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen? But seek the higher light, right? Isn't that what we're supposed to do today? So I don't think you'll mind if I'm a little long-winded, because we've got to make lemonade out of the lemons that they gave to us, and we've got to hear things that we've never heard before, to see and read it for ourselves. You don't need me, okay? But you are just getting a primer here. Then you will, if you get on your knees and you ask Yeshua to say, hey, is Desert crazy? I mean, this guy, is he kind of like, they pick him up every night in white coats, or this guy really got something going on here? And you can know. He will show you, ladies and gentlemen. He will show you, and you will know, okay? And if you get a few dictionaries, it would help you out probably. But it really would be required, because if you're on the trail, then you have to get dictionaries. You have to have a concordance. You have to have a lexicon. You've got to maybe find a better transliteration of the scriptures, like Farrar Fenton or George Lamsa. You may have to put out a little effort, but I guarantee you it is worth it. It is worth it. And so I'm going to go get another cup of hot brew so that I can warm my throat and keep on with the Ashavors right here on Forbidden History Live. It's they're all dead out there, okay? So we're live over here. We're breathing, and it's great, because breathing the truth, there's nothing better. Okay, this is where it's at. This is what it's all about. And so do tell a friend, okay? There's still time. Say, you want to hear a crazy guy? Come on over here. Get on Forbidden History Live. This guy's got to be nuts. He's telling us stuff nobody else talks about, and I think he's pulling our string. I really think he's no, it's not, ladies and gentlemen. There's no string to pull. The string has already been pulled over our eyes. And we're just here unraveling the great mystery of life. What they didn't want you to know, and we're telling it right here. Somebody's got to do it. and that's my job, and so I'm happy. Okay, I wish there were more of us doing it. That's all I wish, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to do it right here, and so we're going to a song, and now you got time to call your friends, or go get a break, whatever. All right, I'll be right back.
When your ears refuse to hear, you turn your heart away from me each time that I draw near. Your eyes refuse to meet with mine, they glance away in fear, as if you should not look at your reflection in the mirror. How can I explain to you when you won't understand? You scoff me and you mock me and reject the truth at hand. You spread your vicious rumors all across this troubled land. From this command, your mind has been made up to you by people you don't know. Slot machines control the scene so well it doesn't show. How can I contain this anguish and this pain, knowing that your eyes are blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Every time I think about the damage that's been done, the anger wells inside me till I'm almost overcome. I want to tear the moon out of the sky and drop the sun. Why do I feel so all alone, like I'm the only one? Even though your eyes are open, they may never ever see. Your mind may never comprehend this sinful subtlety. Your heart may never hunger for the truth that sets you free. Your soul may know the darkness of divine eternity. Like many thieves who plunder in the shadows of the night, they break inside and enter through the windows of your mind. How can I control this poisoning of the soul? These lies that blind your eyes, blinded by the lies. Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Your mind has been made up for you by people you don't know, whose thought machine controls the scene so well it doesn't show. How can I contain this anguish and this pain, knowing that your eyes are blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order.
The New World Order does not mean surrendering our national sovereignty or forfeiting our interests.
back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, have your eyes been blinded by the lies? I think all of our eyes have been blinded by the lies. And so the question is, are we still sifting? Because there's no end to sifting, okay? Because it's continuous. These people, again, there's that dirty word, perfect. They are perfect at what they do. They have perfectly engineered our world. It's perfect. They're perfect psychopaths. They're perfect, scum. They're perfect, okay? And so we have to. The beauty is, see, the thing that really got me when things started opening up was recognizing the fundamental. The fundamental was, wait a minute, I think I'm being lied to. And then as soon as you got the picture, right, then all of a sudden it's, okay, so now I'm going to go look. I'm going to go figure it out. And then yeah, I'm right. There it is. Okay, I was lied to. Wow. And, okay, Ninja has a question, and it's up there. Okay, how high? Oh, there it is. I see it. Okay, hang on, Ninja. I'll get it. All right. So is thy used because it's close to the original, the word thy? Thy, thou. Who are thy? No, how would we use it? Ty. Oh, thank you. Okay, thy. I'm trying to think of how to use the word. Thy is this is just Middle English. It's just Middle English. It's some of the words are superior. We have to analyze them. The lettering is, okay. Instead of thy house, is this thy house? Not, is this your house? So, yeah, the letters are superior. It's from a symbolic standpoint, the letters are superior versus your, Y-O-U-R. You is a corruption, but there's nothing much that I make out of that right now. But anyway, thank you. Thank you for asking. The symbol, yeah, the letters are power letters, the T and the H and the or the Y, right? Sure. All right. So we're back. We're back on the story on the second book of Adam and Eve, the Forgotten Books of Eden, and chapter 11 now. After the death of Adam and Keva, Seth severed his children. Oh, he's severed? S-E-V-E-R-E-D. It looks like severed his children and his children's children, yeah, from Cain's children, okay? They made sure there was a separation between them somehow. How, I don't know. And Cain, gain, because they wanted to gain. That's why he's called Cain. He liked gain. Gain, the C is a corruption, and there's a play on the C and the G and the H. That's part of this mystery, ladies and gentlemen. And his seed went down and dwelt westward on the west. That's the children of Cain. They moved away from the highlands of what we call today Israel, or the area of Jerusalem, Utah, and they went down into the valley that is now underwater on the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean is the flood. Nobody tells that either. And Mediterranean Sea means sea in the middle of the land. They went down under. And they had no idea that if Africa and Europe split apart, the Atlantic Ocean would flood in because they were below sea level down there. Okay, and his seed went out down and dwelt westward below the place where he had killed his brother Avul. Avul, not Abel. It's Avul, meaning the star of enlightenment, and that's who Abel is and was, the star of enlightenment. That's what he represented. That's why his offering was accepted. He was a symbol. Okay. But Seth and his seed dwelt northward upon the mountain of the Cave of Treasures in order to be near to their father Adam. Excuse me. And Seth and his Seth and the elder, tall and good. And Seth the elder, tall and perfect, not good, but perfect, with a fine soul and of a strong mind, stood at the head of his people. and tended them in innocence, penitence, and meekness, and did not allow one of them to go down to Gain's seed, offspring. But because of their own purity, they were named seed of the sun. It says son of God here, children of God, but this is the code. You see, this is how they destroy the Eshevoras. They were the seed of the sun, just like, son of God, I mean, seed of the sun. Because the God is great Dul of Haim, and the logo as the prime symbol is the sun. And that represents the great Dul of Haim. The Ul of Haim is the spirit that is hiding behind the symbol. Otherwise, you wouldn't see the spirit, right? In other words, you have to see the symbol, just like you got to see your body because your spirit's hiding inside. So it's the same with the sun. The sun is representing the great spirit. Otherwise, you wouldn't see a symbol, and you wouldn't therefore see anything. So we have to see an image. And the image is the sun. Okay. And they were with the great Dul of Haim, who, instead of the hosts of the royal messengers who fell, they continued in praises before the great Dul of Haim and singing psalms unto him in their cave, the cave of treasures. And I just want to look ahead, see how many chapters I have, because I may do part 2 tomorrow. 20. We'll just play it by ear here, okay? I may cap it off here in a little bit, and we'll pick it up tomorrow. We'll have a cliffhanger, a reason for you to come back. For they continued in praises before the great Dul of Haim and in singing psalms unto him in their cave and the cave of treasures. Then Seth stood before the Bude of his father Hadam and of his mother Keva, and created light day and night, and asked for a mercy toward himself and his seed, and that when he had some difficult dealing with a Yuta, well, with the seed, with an offspring, it says child. I hate that word. Jeez, killed. He would have him counseled. He would give him counsel. But Seth and his offspring did not like earthly work, but gave themselves to higher things. For they had no other thought than praises and doxologies and psalms and before the great Dul of Haim. For this reason did they at all times give ear to the voices of the royal messengers, creating light and lifting up in the enlightenment the great Dul of Haim from within the Gainun, or when they were sent by the great Dul of Haim on an errand, or when they were going up towards looking up towards the throne of the sun. For Seth and his offspring, by reason of their own purity, gave ear and saw these royal messengers. And again, this Genun was not far above them, but only some 15 spiritual cubits. Well, you see, so in other words, the garden that is above them, of course, is the garden of the atom. That's what I've been saying. Okay. And now one spiritual cubit answers to 3 cubits in man. Well, we're getting something from a very ancient writing, a version of a version of a version. So don't think that it would be closely accurate, ladies and gentlemen, but I think we can get the picture close enough here. And and Seth and his offspring dwelt on the mountain below the Ganun, and sowed not, neither did they reap. They worked not with food, but for the body, and not even wheat, but only offering. So they had their extended family. Obviously, we're doing the other. It just means that some were fully dedicated on, the enlightenment, and they ate of the first in all the trees well favored and grew on the mountain where they dwelled. Well, it may be that they were able to just harvest, directly from the trees. I've got to, I'm reading. I haven't read this in a long time, and so therefore, I'm going fast. So then Seth often fasted for every 40 days, as he did also his eldest seed. Imagine that, huh? For the family. Just a minute. For the family of Seth smelled the smell of the trees in the garden when the wind blew that way, and they were happy, innocent, without sudden fear. And there was no jealousy nor blind action, no hatred among them. There was no animal passion. From no mouths among them went forth either food, ashavors, or curse, neither blind counsel nor fraud. For the Ashan of them of that time never swore, but under hard circumstances, when Ashan must swear, and they swore by the blood of Avul, the just. But they constrained their offspring and their Ashaphe, their women, every Dayel in the cave, to fast and to create light and to pay homage unto the mother star in the eye of the return, the great Uluvhaim. Most High is a code. You see in the word most, 2 words, mother, star. High is 3 words. The is the H. The I, letter I, is the eye that you look with. Symbolically, it's a corruption, but it's what it means. The GH means return. So the word high is 3 words. The I, return. The eye of the return. So Most High is the mother star, the eye of the return. You see, you can't. I hope you can't miss it, ladies and gentlemen. It's so simple. And to realize it's a code, and this is how they did it to us. You know, who would ever figure this stuff out, right? But except, I climbed a mountain one day 40 years ago, and the Father gave me the vision, the anointing of truth to see these things. The words opened up to me. I couldn't avoid it. Wow, look at that. 2 words right there. Mother. Sure, that's the prime root. That's the parent root. Thor, means power. So Thor, mother. Well, we see right in there the word motor. So under the hood of the car is the motor, and it is the mother. You see? Okay, well, that way is getting it. Way to go that way. Thank you for the heads up. All right. And I know that Lynn and Shelly and Ninja and Ya Love and a number of other of you as well are getting it as well. And I'm grateful. It's good not to be alone in this, and it's exciting, when you realize that you're interpreting what the darkness, the occultic, have hidden from us, and now, it's not as, whoa, they really had us fooled, didn't they? Yeah, but not any longer. No, we got it. All right, shh, don't tell anybody, because they may come for us. I don't know, it could happen, but that's okay. They're coming for everybody anyway, so it really don't matter, right? All right. So and they pay homage unto the mother star in the eye of the return, the great Uluvhaim. God is correctly transliterated as the great Uluvhaim. That is the logo and the spirit that is behind the great logo. The great Uluvhaim, the Uluvhaim, the one who is the love of the many. Luvhaim is the love of the many. Ul is the one who sees with the love of the many. Who is that but Yeshua and Yahweh, the great spirit, are one. They are male and female. They are mother, father. They are son. They are spirit. All of those things together. They Barokeeth. They endowed, enlightened, and separated with the mind's eye for seeing in the night themselves in the bodeh of their great father Adam. Because they were his offspring, and so they were preserving the line, like the Nazaré became to represent this, and anointed themselves with this. And they did so until the end of Seth drew near. And then Seth, chapter 12. Let me get another zip. I need to get a zip. And I'm beginning to think nobody has any friends out there. That's what I'm starting to think. Like, that's what happens when we're separated, right? Then we're separated and we don't have any friends anymore because we woke up and nobody wants to talk to us anymore. All right. So Seth the just called his son Enos and Genun, son of, and Enos would be a corruption because it would be an A. I already know the code, So it's Enosh. The Enosh, what it means is the knowledge of the A. So Seth means it's abbreviation as well, and it's Ashaph, most likely Ashaph, and it means like sheaf. Sheaf. You put the sword in the sheaf because the sun is setting. It means he was the third, right? And there's more to the story in the metaphors. And so his son is not Enos, but Enosh, because even in the name Seth, implying that the light is setting, it goes over the edge of the earth, and darkness seems to be prevalent. But then in the word Enos, which is correctly Enosh, means still the knowledge of the sun is preserved, the knowledge of the A. The knowledge of the A represents the light projection, that which is first, the beginning of the alphabet, and so that's where they again trick us, because we can't get the picture if we don't have the right letters and the structure of the Eshavor of the word. And Mahalalel, the son of Genun, as well, and said to them, "As my end is near, I wish to build a roof over the altar on which the gifts are offered." They hearkened to his mandate and went out, all of them, both young and old, and worked hard at it, and they built a beautiful roof over the altar. And Shavetz, because Seth would have to have an H with the S, is more correct, and then the E would be an A. There you get the Shah. There's the Esha. There's the Eshavath. The Eshaveth. You see, that's really what it is. It's the royal eye of the serpent. That's really what. No, geez, I'm seeing it here for the first time, I feel like. I may have this on a 3x5 card, but I can't go digging. I got so many of them. But Eshavath, there it is. Seth is Eshavath. And it means the royal eye of the serpent, and it implies the Ouroboros, and that which goes round. Oh, that's a cute little face there. Is that a kitty cat face, Lynn? Ninja cat? Or what? Anyway, that's okay. Just glad you're here, that's all. All right. And so yeah, Eshavat. Yeah, okay. So you got to look at these small words and wonder, this is really how the words were in the beginning? No. The words were big, and they abbreviated them, ladies and gentlemen. Outside the Vatican at the College of Abbreviators, they worked overtime. They stayed up late at night, burning the candle, just for you. Okay? Okay, so, and Seth thought in so doing that this was a barokem, an endowment and enlightenment and separation with the mind's eye, foreseeing in the night, should that this would be what would come upon his offspring on the mountain, and that he should present an offering for them before his death. And then when the building of the roof was completed, he commanded them to make offerings, and they worked diligently at these and brought them to Eshaf, to Eshavat, their father Seth, who took them and offered them upon the altar and created light before the great Ulafhaim, and to accept. It's a work, you see. I mean, if I don't even focus, I don't say it right. It's the Ulafhaim, and to accept their offering and to have mercy on the souls of his seed, and to keep them from the control of the serpent, from the control of the serpent. You see, they're in a battle. They are spirits in a lower realm, and they're struggling within themselves. That's what this entire battle is all about. You see, the temptations, right? The temptations of this lower world. It's the delusion, right? The delusion. And mercy, there's an interesting word, the bitter cry. In the word mercy, mer is bitterness, right? And cry is cy, the cry, bitter cry. And there's where we get the word merchant then, right? The merchant, because he's crying bitter cry. Come buy my goods, the bitter cry. You see how these words are all relative. Mm-hmm. And the great Ulafhaim accepted the offering and sent his barokem, not the blasting. No, we don't want to be blasted, but the barokem, the endowment and enlightenment and separation with the mind's eye foreseeing in the night upon him and upon his seed. a separate people. That's what we were told to be, endowed and enlightened, with the mind's eye for seeing in the night of all these scriptures, this darkness that they've imposed upon these sacred writings, so that we would never get the light. And then the great Dul of Haim made a promise to Eshava, Seth, breathing at the end of the great 5 dayels and a half, concerning which I have made a promise to you and to your father, that I will send my Eshavor, my word, capital W, and save you and your seed. That's Yeshua, the word, the Eshavor, the royal center. Well, certainly he's the royal center. The Son is the royal center. The Spirit is at the royal center, and Yeshua is at the royal center. And Jerusalem is at a royal center, but it became corrupted because it's on earth. Because it's on earth. That's why. And that's why the promised land on earth was just an allusion to something greater. This duality again. That which is above, below is representing that which is above. That which is above has a representative on earth. But they are not the same. Then Eshavah, Seth, and his seed, and his seed met together and came down from the altar. Love that word altar, because they altered everything. And because they continued the altar after Yeshua said, we're done with the altars, like that way was implying, I think it was, right, wasn't it? And because the altar is in the heart, the true altar, but they had to keep the other altar going with the columns on both sides because they wanted to maintain control. And since it is their world, that's what they do. They're doing their job. So let me try this again. And they went, and they came down from the altar and went into the cave of treasures, where they created light and Barucheth, endowed and enlightened with the mind's eye for seeing in the night, and separated themselves in the body of their father Adam, and anointed themselves with it. Okay, so they were acknowledging their uniqueness on this planet as a special tribe that had a message to bring to mankind, and they had the knowledge, the higher knowledge of infinite nature. We're not even really getting the scope here in this story of the knowledge that they had, because this is where the fallen ones were going to come from. We haven't even gotten there yet, but they had the knowledge. These people, remember, they're living to be 1,000 years old by eating the serpent venom. That was the secret that kept them alive for so long. They knew what to take. That's why they could fast for 40 days. How would you fast for 40 days unless you had a secret, And so the serpent venom is a part of the story, but that's, story for another day. I'm just wanting to allude to it because this is not, this knowledge is out, okay? And the occult are carrying the story behind all that, But that's why the cobra was on the Pharaoh's head, and this is why after the flood people no longer lived that length of time, because the knowledge was hidden away. But this tribe possessed it because they knew how all creation worked. So they could extend their life. In other words, they weren't at that time, to be the abusers of mankind. They had the secrets of all creation, the secret of longevity, the secret of everything, from the stars to the cycles of the sun and the moon, and to the potentials of crossbreeding, selective breeding, of metallurgy, of the mixing of metals or plants, or you name it, agriculture. It's amazing, the story that we're being denied. And they took these writings from us. It was obviously more clear in some other writing somewhere, but they're not going to let us have it. They don't want us to know our true legacy and who really built all the pyramids. Like all the archaeological journalists, like oh, come on, my favorite, one of my favorites, oh, come on, he's the one who, okay, well, anyway, they all say one thing in common, and they also, they say, we don't know who built all these great pyramid civilizations, but it seems like they just, all of a sudden, at a moment, boom, we go from primitive people. There's primitives here for tens of thousands of years, and maybe much longer. And all of a sudden, boom, we got a culture that comes on the scene full blown with knowledge. Okay, full blown with knowledge, and so they're admitting that they know this is what happened, but they don't know who did. Like Graham Hancock, I'm talking about Graham Hancock, you know, with and all his buddies. You know, they've gone all over the world. They know that in an instant the pyramid civilizations appeared. It didn't happen progressively. It happened instantly at one period of time in history, about 10,000 years ago. Anywhere from 8 to 10, maybe 12, maybe from 8 to 12, within that range, because, you know, our history is clouded, and therefore there's many missing pieces to the story. But this is where the knowledge comes from these people we're reading about right here. This is where the legacy comes from. Okay, that's where we're going, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get another sip here, and hope you're all doing well out there. I want to welcome any new listeners to the broadcast. And, you know, you're not going to get what we give you here anywhere else, ladies and gentlemen, because the lies are great and the deception is great. And people are on the merry-go-round and they're just happy to quote scripture and say, Jesus loves you. Yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so. And hope you go on your merry way and think you're going to be saved, and you don't know anything, and you're stupid, and you're brain dead, and you're and that's what the scripture says, that we're the walking dead. You know, we're walking with our eyes closed. How can you walk with what's the implication of walking with your eyes closed? Doesn't that sort of indicate that you're dead? You know? Mm-hmm. And then we go to bed at night, and we really close our eyes. And what does that imply? Well, it implies that our world must be dead. We're in a dead state. If we have to do that, it is symbolic of that we are in a state of death. What does mortal mean? Let's put, when you build a brick building, you put mortar on the brick building, right? And you're immortal. So you're tall. In other words, you're a tall piece of mortar. You're more tall, and you're more tall maybe as the wall, or maybe the wall's taller than you. But you know what I'm saying? Mortal. And what does mortal mean? Death. That's what mortal means. So the question is, what are you? Are you immortal, or are you immortal? And how do you spell im? That's another question. Maybe we have to look these words up further, So, yeah, it's a thick wick, and it's a short candle, and it's a bit, wow. All right, so let's continue, shall we? And maybe one of you want to break me and call in with a comment or a question. I'd love to hear from you. 608-566-7295. And it's Sunday, and do you know where you're going for the rest of eternity? Well, that's the $1 million question, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned. But Seth abode in the cave of treasures. Seth is a Shava. Okay, that means the royal eye of the serpent. Of course, he's the royal eye of the serpent. He's the one who's the power broker here in this story. Now, he's the one who sees all things. For he's the next in line after Adam, who was the most enlightened of anyone who was ever made on earth, other than Yeshua himself. Adam was the one who named all things. And if you name all things, you must know all things about this creation. That's the only way you could have named it. How would you know how to name it unless you knew how it operated? Unless you knew it within a very intimate way, right? How would you know? Yeah, mort gage, that's the dead hand, right? The gage is the hand, and the mort is the death. So, and what's the rule? A dead hand can't own anything, and that's why after they gave you the mortgage, then they take it back from you, fool, because you are dead, and the bank didn't sign on the contract with you. You have to be stupid to be the only one signing on the paper, because according to Judaism, if the Jew that's making the loan doesn't sign the paper with you, he can take it back anytime he pleases. Okay? That's Jewish banking. That's Babylonian Talmud. We have to know the nature of things, ladies and gentlemen. Ninja, you don't have to beg them. It's okay, all right? They'll call one day when they're ready. They're going to have questions. I can guarantee you. They're taking notes. But thank you, Ninja. Thank you so much. Ninja is our $1 million caller, and she even got the question right. We got to go to another question. All right, another question. All right, let me find one here. Okay, and it's going to be easy. I know what. Well, I'll have to do it on the break, I guess. I'm not going to stop here with this next question. It's Bible trivia where trivia is not trivial. Okay, and who's worried, Ninja? You know, who's worried? You worried? I'm not worried. I'm just sick of it. You know, I'm really just sick of it. That's all. Maybe we should change the statement and say no sickie. You know, no sickie or no being sick. All right, never mind. All right. But Seth abode in the cave of treasures. It's easy to get cynical around here. You know that. A few days, and then suffering unto death. And Enosh, his firstborn son, came to him with Genun, his son, and Mahalaleel, and Genun's son, and Yared, and the son of Mahalaleel, and Enoch, not Enoch, but Enoch, Yared's son, with their vefes, their wives, and offspring, to receive the Baruchim, the endowment and the enlightenment, and the separation with the mind's eye foreseeing in the night from Eshavah, from Seth. Then Eshavah, Seth, created light over them, and Barucheth, endowed and enlightened them with the separation and a mind's eye for seeing in the night, all of them, and adjured them by the blood of Abel, the perfect, breathing, I beg of you, my offspring, not to let one of you go down from this pure anointed mountain. Make no fellowship with the seed of Cain, the murderer, the blind one who killed his brother. For you know, my true, perfect, and complete offspring, that we flee from him, from all of his blindness, with all of our might, because he killed his brother Abul. And after having said this, Seth Barucheth, endowed, enlightened, and separated Enosh with a mind's eye for seeing in the night. You see how much work that is? I mean, I could have just said blessed, but would you get the picture if I just kept saying blessed all the time? Are you tired of being blasted by the false narratives of Eshavor? There's the two S's. What do you think two S's, if that isn't like, the SS stormtroopers, the serpent, the double serpent, of all things. It's a double mint. Okay? You see, if you can know the word, you can get the picture of what it's telling you right on the surface. It's the double serpent. It means it's like it has a double meaning, and the meaning that you think it means is not the meaning that it really is. It's a serpent, occult, trickery on the brain. We have to clean out the false narratives and work. It's a work. And so Barucheth is a little bit of a work, and then we have to transliterate what that means, because you wouldn't get the picture. And it means Barucheth, endowed and enlightened and separated with the mind's eye for seeing in the night. Enosh, his firstborn Zan, and commanded him habitually to minister in purity before the Bodeh of our father Hadam. All right, we'll find out if this is a real caller. I'm skeptical. Yes, can I help you?
Hello.
Yes.
Desert?
You got him. Who's this?
That way.
This is That Way. Hey, That Way. Glad to have you call in. How you doing?
Very well.
Good. And so you've been how long you been listening now That Way?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, several weeks? You've been listening several weeks now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Always listening.
Oh, great. Great. Good to have you. And it seems to me you talk about the name quite a bit, so you must have been studying the commercial law and that racket and all that, huh?
Well, I'm always studying. Period.
Okay.
Always looking for what the truth is, because I know we've been lied to about everything, or the truth couldn't set you free.
Yeah.
Right, so we have to seek the truth.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What happened is my boss quit. I was, back in the day when I was a war king, king of war, actually working. My boss quit, and I didn't know what to do, I didn't know nothing back then. And I figured, I heard that the truth will set you free, and I was like, well, how could that be? Oh, unless I was lied to about everything. And then there went my search, and I've been searching for probably, 15 years now.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, that's good.
And then, when I found you guys, I don't know who I found first, Lynn or Ninja. I think it was Ninja, and then Lynn, and then you, and it's like, wow. I just ran into it somehow. I don't know.
Right. In other words, you came in through Lynn and Ninja, one of their channels, and through the back door. Yeah.
I was just searching and looking and watching people, and there's a lot of content on my YouTube channel that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing what you're doing.
Well, yeah. There's nobody doing what I'm doing. It's I was able to get past the Greek and the Hebrew, and recognize that there was something before that, and that's what's classically called the Indo-Germanic, and this is what they're basically buried under the dirt, so that we wouldn't take interest in it. Nobody's talking about it, and it's the most relevant, because that which is first is superior, that which is first is original, and that which is first is pure. And because the Hebrew is a priesthood code. Even the followers of Yeshua, who were Galileans, speaking the common Aramaic, could not speak the Hebrew. The Hebrew was exclusively for the priesthood and for the wealthy. That's it. Those who could read and afford books, and that wasn't the common people.
Right.
And then the Greek, they switched out the alphabet to these funny squiggles that you're not going to find them on Greek monuments anywhere, because the Greek alphabet was originally, and is correctly, the capital letters that we still use today. We call the Phoenician alphabet, and then the same with the Aramaic speaking people who were in that region of Yeshua. They and all the way through Kurdistan and all the way through into India, wherever they switched out the alphabet when the Roman Empire took over Christianity and gave them the El Strangulo. And you'll never find that on a stone monument anywhere either, because it's a latecomer. This is part of the grand conspiracy of what they've done, and nobody talks about it. Nobody's been able to piece this together, apparently, except for myself, thanks to the grace of the Heavenly Father. But I found it through other sources. In other words, I have a translation from the 1800s of Murdoch's Peshito, the Peshito version, where he's using the Estrangulo demotic script, and right in the introduction by these people out of the hometown where I grew up in Piscataway, New Jersey. I can't get over it. There's a publishing company over there, and they're publishing this book, and it's right out of my hometown, Central Jersey, Piscataway, and in the introduction before the New Testament of this Aramaic Syriac script, it says right in there that the priesthood in Rome told all of those in the East that you're going to destroy your original copy of the Diatessaron, which is the harmonized Gospels put in one book, and then you're going to take this new alphabet and your new version of scriptures. So they filtered them for them back then, but they didn't make anything out of it. I mean, they just told the story. They just acknowledged what happened, but yet they're not seeing it on the grander, the conspiratorial level, or making the connection that it's the same deal with the Hebrew, The same deal with the Greek, and that literally our original alphabet was stolen from all three of these cultures. That's the deal. You see? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, the English language is angel-ish language. It's not full angel.
Yeah, angel. When you look in the Latin dictionary from 1812, it says in the back, see the English, in my Middle English dictionary. Look under angel, it says see English. So the English are the angel Saxons, and they put their name, like the Jews, put their name in our book, and there are no Jews in our scriptures,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the joke's on us, and then you try to share the information, and then you find out they're going to make a barbecue for you, and you're the dinner.
Yeah.
So it's okay. That's all right. I'm happy to get out of here one day real soon, and we're all going anyway. But the thing is, we got to really figure it out. Yeah. So I'm glad you're listening in that way. Did you have a direct question on top of all this?
Oh, I question everything.
You're questioning everything. All right. Good.
No, just always watch and listen. I like your work and others that I've found, and it all ties together.
Yeah. All right. Well, very good. You don't have Skype, I assume, huh?
I think I did. I don't even know how to use Skype.
I see. Okay, because I'm waiting for
I think I have it, but I don't know how to use it.
Yeah, I'm having to hold this iPhone up right in front of my face on this microphone, and I feel like I'm frying my brains here. When I do this, I'm trying to get the Skype. I've got a little device I got to get batteries for, but then it's an amplifier, plugs into the phone, and then I've got a little speaker, so I got to hook that thing up, and it'll probably work better if I can do that. So I got to work on that. We're still engineering here, and
I'm not a real techie kind of guy either.
Well, yeah, you're not alone, so that's okay though. But that way, what? We're old. Yeah. How old are you?
55.
Oh, well, geez. Okay. I just turned 6.
Young,
Huh?
Young at heart.
Young at heart. Yeah. Well, I just turned 63, so I'm beginning to feel senior around here, and but that's right. I paid my dues, and I still think I've got a pretty young spirit, and I take nutrition pretty well, so that's really helped me out. Otherwise, I probably would have wilted as a flower already. But no, I'm still going. The great Father of Light has given me a good knowledge. I had two different health programs. Interviewed a lot of health naturopaths and the like, and I studied regeneration when I was in my mid-20s. So the doctors were killing me back then, and I figured it out and had to do something quick because I had asthma and bronchitis, and I just they were overdosing me on antibiotics and stuff. So I realized I had to get control of my health, and that's how it all started from that. So I'm literally free today from breathing problems, and so it's really a miracle. That's what the Father's done. So, but that way, I want to thank you for calling in and for touching base.
Okay.
All right, and feel free to
I'll call in again sometime.
Yeah, do that. That would be good to hear from you. If you can figure out Skype, I'd like to get a Skype call so we can test the system because we haven't done that yet.
Okay, I'll try that. And I want to thank Shelly and you and Ninja and everybody.
Thank you. All right. Well, we're here to serve, and good to have you all the time. All right. We'll look for you on the chat. Peace and love. Bye-bye. All right. That's that way. You went that way, and there we go. We got a historical event here, ladies and gentlemen, on the Forbidden History. We've got a caller, and I can tell you my voice is really getting hoarse. So I think I'm going to wrap up this chapter, and then we're gonna close it down for today, and we'll do part 2 tomorrow with Ninja on Ninja Cat 111, and finish this saga. Okay, and it's quite a deal. My throat never used to get this sore just from talking, but everything kind of wears down. I'm taking my nutritionals. I got some more coming in, and hopefully that's going to help. I think it will. And so we have to be consistent here. So where were we? Then they Okay, so then, so here we are. And so Adam. Okay, so after having said this, Seth, and I'm going to go through it fast. Now I'm going to use the word bless. Okay, I'm going to save my voice. So blessed Enos and his firstborn son, and commanded him habitually to minister in purity before the body of our father Adam, all of the days of his life. Then also to go at times to the altar with Seth, and built after the command to feed his people in perfection in the flowing light, that's righteousness, in the focusing light or judgment and purity all the days of their life. And then the limbs of Eshava, Seth, were loosened, and his hands and feet lost all power, and his mouth became dumb and unable to speak. And he gave up the ghost and died the day after his 912th year, and the 27th day of the month, Aviv. That sounds like the 27th of May. That's my birthday. I can't get over that. Aviv, I think, is May. Anyway, Enosh being then 20 years old. And they wound up carefully the body of Seth and embalmed him in sweet spices and laid him in the cava of treasures, and on the right side of our father Adam's body, and they mourned for him 40 days. And they offered gifts for him as they had done for our father Adam. After the death of Seth, Enosh rose at the end of his Enosh rose as the head of his people, whom he fed in the right perfection in the flowing light and focusing light, as his father had commanded him. And by the time Enosh was 828 years old, Gain had a large progeny. That's because they were very active, procreating. And for this they married frequently, because being given to animal lust, until the land below the mountain was filled with them. Okay. And so when we pick it up on chapter 13, tomorrow, will be among the children of Gainun, the offspring of Gain, there was much robbery, murder, and darkness, no doubt. And so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's the forbidden history, what they didn't want you to know, but we spell it out right here with the correct Shavors, and hope that you can get pictures, because pictures are worth 1,000 more Shavors, and it's the way we breathe life into the subjects. You are the subjects out there. You have become subjects of the queen and the king and the jester all at the same time. And the joke has been on all of us. But the good news is we can be set free. We can see and read it for ourselves. We can see things that we've never seen before and make lemonade out of lemons. Okay, so want to thank you for tuning in today. And I hope you do tell your friends. Great to have that way call in. That was nerve-wracking. Okay, what was nerve-wracking? Calling in? Come on. And okay, a live caller, and they're nervous talking to a bird brain. I can't get over it. Just just meat and potatoes over here. We're no cake and ice cream. We're at the core of the onion. So I guess, but no matter what, we're going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have a revolution in thinking. We're gonna find some friends. If we don't have any friends, we're gonna find some friends. We're gonna round them up and bring them in, and tie them down in their chair, and we're gonna get them to be deprogrammed. Okay, because it's we got to stop programming. We got to deprogram the agenda. There's no more theater. Theater is war, and it's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. If you want to know the future, just look for the Forbidden History. I'm Dezert-Owl. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll look for you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Ninja Cat 111 with the Forbidden History Chronicles, because somebody's got to do it, and she's another glutton for punishment, just like I am. Thank you, and thank you, Yo Engineer, for such a great job. We'll see you.
Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day, with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, Sketch the trees and the daffodils, catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy lit land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflecting Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you, but still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night, portraits hung in empty halls, frameless heads on nameless walls, with eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, a silver thorn, a bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they never will. Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day, with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees.